Na sisi leo wageni mgeni njoo mwenyeji apone. Leo ni mgeni tuponyeshe. Haya. Mwenyeji atazame. Haya. Tuchangamke. Nataka muziki unaekwa hapa, si ndio?
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station, your service. Did you know crop insurance protects farmers from losses caused by unexpected events like extreme weather, floods, pests, diseases, drought, and fire? It also covers uncertainties in crop yields due to weather-related and natural disasters. It covers crops such as wheat, sugarcane, rice, maize, barley, and tomatoes. Now you know. Read and understand the terms and conditions of your policy. This message is brought to you by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, IRA. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
Mkulima wa wiki hii ni mwanamke bomba aliyejitosa katika kilimo biashara.
Chakula yao ya kwanza tunapatia saa 12 asubuhi. Ya pili tunawapatia saa 6 mchana. Alafu ikienda kidogo mpaka saa 9 hivi saa 11 tunafunga mambo ya chakula. Lakini maji inaenda throughout. Kwa sababu kuku ni maji.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1. Tuangazie ufugaji wa kuku na faida zake.
Kituo unachokienzi cha KBC Radio Taifa kitakuletea tamasha kubwa la Rumba Night mjini Kakamega katika klabu ya Havana Lounge. Kikosi kizima cha KBC Radio Taifa kikiongozwa na Mfumu Kimbangu aka Mzairwa kitatua Kakamega kukutana na kusherehekea pamoja na wasikilizaji wake. Hafla hii itang'oa nanga Ijumaa tarehe 24 na Zinga Live pale Hetia Supermarket Kakamega kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Kisha tuelekee Emusala Special School eneo bunge la Lurambi na Malava Special Unit eneo bunge la Malava. Baadaye mida ya jioni tutajumuika Havana Lounge kwa tamasha la Rumba Night. Jumamosi tarehe 25 tutakuwa kwenye tamasha la Ramani ya Kiswahili pamoja na mwalimu Mathias Momanyi katika shule ya upili ya wasichana ya Butere. Jiunge nasi tutengeneze kumbukumbu pamoja na Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya.
Nakoza ungepamba ti kama ta
kukosa ni makosa.
Lights on, volume up. This is where stories come alive. From local drama that hits close to home.
Huyu ni nani?
Alinivamia akiwa na vijana wengine wawili.
Toka nje! Nini nyumba yako? Yote
ni porojo.
To international series everyone's talking about. Stories that pull you in. Characters you won't forget.
Stop complaining and just get out of here. Go now. Go, go.
We turn up the volume with music that moves, showcases rising stars, and bring the beat straight to your living room. And when it's time to talk, we don't hold back.
How is everything going?
Real conversations, big personalities, the issues, the loves, the moment everyone's debating the next day. Every show, every night, different voices, one destination. This is television that feels alive, unpredictable, and missable.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. We are coming to live from the Broadcasting House, from right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. My name is Giverson Maina. Our sign language interpreter is Caroline Njoroge. Join us for the next 1 hour or so for news within, of course, across the country. And just to remind you that WAFCON Eco KBC, after World Cup, we are now bringing a live coverage of WAFCON. And this is the 2026 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations from this Sunday, the 26th of July. And the match begins at 8 p.m. and, of course, another one at 11 p.m. WAFCON Eco KBC. And now let's get started. Now, President William Ruto has launched the next Gen.ke Youth Employment Program, a groundbreaking national youth employment initiative by the government in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program and the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. The initiative aims to improve education to employment pathways for Kenyan youth by connecting graduates with structured and stipend-supported placements within private sector organizations. Now, practical skills development through on-the-job training and continuous mentorship and learning support. Take a look.
Next Gen is a landmark partnership between the Government of Kenya, the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and other partners. And it will accelerate inclusive youth economic transformation by connecting young people with meaningful work experience and practical skills. This program, as has been said, is initially targeting 30,000 young people. But looking at the partnership and the collaboration that is here, the Government of Kenya will be willing to scale up our partnership so that we can take this program to 100,000 young people. We have, on one hand, young people who are ready. We have, on the other side, a market that is looking for skilled workers, and job experience, workplace experience is standing in between. I think today we come into that space where we create the bridge, and we should do it together. I want to ask my friends in the private sector to do two things. Because you are looking for skilled workers, people with experience, let us work together to create a big pool of skilled workers who then you can tap into and drive your businesses.
Now, to matters health now, the Ministry of Health has launched the third version of electronic community health information system, a digital superhighway created to ensure smooth and efficient delivery of community health promoters. Now, Principal Secretary for Public Health and Professional Standards, Mary Muthoni, underscored the importance of system in recording quality data that helps in budget planning. So far, the 107,000 community health promoters have registered 30 million people within 9.3 million households, with about 2 million households yet to be registered.
Very good, because it will help us with planning. In terms of budgetary allocation, we are going to be able to know in different units, small units, and also be able to detect where we have not budgeted enough. There are areas probably we have not been giving them enough budgets, and with quality data, we will be able to plan ahead of time in terms of commodities, in terms of equipment that are required in a specific area, say Mombasa or Meru. If we see there's a lot of diabetes in that area, then we are able to give the required support.
We need to go to the third version, which is more smart, more detailed, and more powered through, new technologies like artificial intelligence as well as big data, so that we make the user, who is the CHP himself, to be easier for him to collect this information and be an enabler to the whole of the health ecosystem.
Now, still matters health. The Council of Governors has rejected directives issued by two principal secretaries ordering counties to absorb universal health coverage staff on permanent and pensionable terms. The Council of Governors chairperson Ahmed Abdullahi says PSS have no authority to give directives to governors, noting the council has already instructed the respective county public service boards to disregard the letters.
In the renewed clash between county executives and national government officials, the Council of Governors has rejected what appeared to be a directive from two principal secretaries, Dr. Uma Oluga of Medical Services and Jenny Mbunya of Public Service, on the absorption of UHC staff. Speaking in Isiolo during the annual general meeting of the County Pension Fund, the Council of Governors chairperson and Wajir County Governor Ahmed Abdullahi accused the PSS of usurping the mandate of county executives.
Matter of remittances, I want to make it very clear. It is under the law to deduct someone's salary and not remit it to the administrators or the fund managers.
The Council of Governors has since directed respective public service boards to disregard the letters. COG claims there's a mismatch between the mode of financing and the kind of contract the National Treasury and the Ministry of Health want the county governments to give to the UHC workers.
This has been a practice that has happened over a long time. Arrears have been accumulated. And we're working with all the stakeholders to see how best to clear those arrears.
Meanwhile, Kenya is making significant progress in reducing maternal deaths through stronger collaboration between counties. Maternal and Perinatal Death Surveillance and Response Initiative co-founder Dr. Mary Maina noted that counties such as Tana River have recorded significant progress through leadership webinars, cross-county case reviews and peer-to-peer mentorship.
We are grateful to see the progress the counties are making, and we are happy that the Council of Governors has invited us as frontline health workers to be able to engage with our leaders to share ideas on how we can accelerate reduction of maternal and newborn deaths across all the 47 counties.
Despite these achievements, experts say the country continues to lose about 92 newborns every day, equivalent to 21 neonatal deaths for every 1,000 live births.
Things we were discussing is how do these MPDSR audits highlight the challenges or the gaps that we have in improvement of the neonatal and perinatal deaths.
And we want this partnership to continue so that where there are no specialists, we can be able to bring specialists from other counties to be able to support the counties that don't have specialists, even as they make arrangements to hire their own specialists.
County health leaders reaffirmed their commitment to working together, expressing hope that stronger collaboration will have more mothers, more newborns, and more lives.
Now we take you to Kisumu County, where the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, has partnered with peace-building non-governmental organizations to engage with the youth on the adversities of criminal activities and violent extremism. Now, through the initiative, the youth are leveraging artistic performances to sensitize their peers against involvement in violence and criminal activities. Now, during a youth convention in Kisumu, officials from NCIC challenged the young Kenyans to focus their vibrancy and energy on positive endeavors for a prosperous, cohesive and peaceful country. The youth were further cautioned against exploitation by the political class ahead of the 2027 general elections.
What is happening here is peer-to-peer exchanges. What is happening here is a lot of paintings, films, and all these kind of things. So young people using all the mechanism, there's a lot of online digital persuasion and influencing happening, just to make sure that young people are at the forefront of working in peace, working for peace, and working for cohesion.
Of major concern, of course, is the issue of Buddhism and also emerging political intolerance that borders on radicalization.
Now we remain in Nyanza for a moment. Now, the Luo Council of Elders has hailed the government for taking up a construction of the Raila Odinga Mausoleum, saying the move will richly preserve the former premier's enduring legacy. Now, the council's chairperson, Kea Odungiranda, revealed that plans are underway to commemorate the first anniversary of the death of former Prime Minister at Kango Ka Jaramogi in October. Now, Odungiranda also appealed to leading government officials and political leaders from the Luo Nyanza region to genuinely strive to unite the region ahead and beyond the 2027 general election.
We wish to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya once again, His Excellency William Samoei Arap Ruto, for his efforts to have a permanent international mark of our fallen hero Raila Amolo Odinga.
We want the Luo community to be behind the Ruto at this time, at the moment. Come 2032, we are going to have a political, not a political, a presidential candidate from Luo community.
Joey! Joey!
Now, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has been allowed to detain a robbery with violence suspect as investigations continue. Now, Limuru Low Court Magistrate Brenda Afisi allowed the prayer by the DCI following the presentation in court where the suspect, a police officer, was accused of robbing Muhyiddin Abdullahi of 60 million Kenyan shillings. Now, during the filing of the miscellaneous application, Operations Support Unit Inspector Nicholas Njoroge told the court that Alfred Wanyonyi, who serves at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations Headquarters Anti-Narcotics Unit, is suspected to have been surveilling Abdullahi's mobile phones the night when the robbery was well executed by a criminal syndicate comprising other individuals who are in police custody.
Armed with AK-47 rifle and 2 pistols, and in the process they were robbed the cash, Nokia, a mobile phone Nokia X2, valued at Kenya shilling 30,000. An iPhone mobile phone, valued at Kenya shilling 5,000. And later they were dumped within the area.
This court will not issue piecemeal orders. The respondent is to be remanded in custody at Larry Police Station until 27th July 2026, when the court will issue further directions on the detention orders, the applicant is at liberty to proceed with the investigations. Production order to issue for the 27th of July 2026.
Now, still on crime beat, police in Luanda, Vihiga County, have arrested a suspected drug baron and intercepted a saloon car allegedly used to transport narcotics. Now, acting on a public tip-off, officers intercepted the vehicle carrying bang and 28 grams of white powder suspected to be cocaine. Now, upon interrogation, the suspect led police to a main store in Luanda Market where additional drugs valued at 1.5 million Kenyan shillings were recovered. Now, Sub-County Police Commander John Owoth confirmed that the suspect remains in custody and will be arraigned in court to face charges related to drug trafficking.
We have one culprit in the police custody who will be arraigned in court. So our operation continues. We are going still to work with the members of the public from this area so that we also assist them as they assist us to bring those who are involved in this business to book.
And still in Vihiga County, police have declared a crackdown on criminal gangs following a violent attack that left 8 family members injured in Surumbi village. Now, authorities say they are pursuing suspected linked to the incident as efforts to restore security intensify. Now, Mbale Sub-County Police Commander Ben Barasa says one suspect was killed by an angry mob during the attack, while 2 others escaped. Police have launched a manhunt for the fleeing suspects, warning that anyone involved in criminal activities will face the full force of the law. He further urged residents to work closely with the security agencies by reporting suspected criminals.
Usi tarehe 19 kitu kama saa 2 usiku, wananchi wapendwa, wananchi wale tumetangaza vita kwa majambazi, wakatupigia simu, kuna jambazi 3 wameingia poma ya mtu hiyo area ya Lukaka Usainia. Polisi wakiwa patrol wakarespond, wakakimbia kwa hiyo poma, wakakuta raia wanapikana na hawa jambazi. Ni pongezi kwa wananchi, uhusiano yao na sisi polisi kwa jumla.
Now, from matters crime to matters land now, millions of acres of productive land across Kenya remain and registered in the names of deceased people, locking out families out of credit, delaying development and fueling endless inheritance disputes. Now, a petition filed by the Agricultural Finance Corporation and former Taita Taveta County Governor John Mrutu is calling for sweeping reforms to Kenya's succession laws, arguing that resolving inheritance bottlenecks could unlock billions of shillings in dormant rural wealth.
By Engineer Mrutu proposes the formation of a national multi-sectoral task force to review Kenya's succession and inheritance laws before recommending reforms to Parliament. According to the petitioner, the current system has left thousands of widows, youth and farming families unable to fully benefit from land and financial assets because ownership remains tied up in lengthy succession processes. Mrutu argues that unresolved ownership bars families from accessing loans, investing in agriculture and expanding businesses, while also contributing to prolonged family disputes and leaving financial resources unclaimed. He now wants succession procedures to be simplified to not only protect inheritance rights, but also boost food production, enhance financial inclusion, and empower women and young people by giving them secure ownership of inherited property. This, he argues, will be a national economic agenda capable of unlocking rural wealth and driving development across the country. John Jacob Curia, The Lunchtime News.
Now to the corridors of justice. The 600 kilograms gold scam case continued at the Milimani Law Courts with the prosecution witness, a lab analyst, testifying. Now Patricia Beverly Aswani, taking the witness stand, informed the court she verified the gold bars were fraudulent and the largest percentage of metal in the gold bars had impurities of copper and zinc. Details in the Scales of Justice segment.
Patricia Beverly Aswani explained to the court that she was given the role of confirming whether the gold bars were legitimate.
We do not handle exhibits. You come with them, we open, we test, we give you back your exhibit, you sign for us. So I was not keen to count the number of seals.
She confirmed to the court that the gold bars were not pure.
In the lab assay certificate report dated 10th July 2026. And the summarized report was that the exhibit marked B1 to B3 for breast, and it was a mixture of copper, zinc with impurities of tin.
The hearing was adjourned and set for the 17th September when other witnesses are expected to testify.
Further hearing on the 17th of September.
2 men have been charged before Mombasa court with trafficking cocaine valued at nearly 4 million Kenyan shillings. Hilton Chocho Chopeta and Mohammed Jabir Ali denied the charges before senior resident magistrate David Othiambo. Chopeta was arrested at the Moi International Airport barrier, while Ali was arrested at the Likoni Ferry Channel, and detectives recovered a total of 60 pellets suspected to be cocaine. They were remanded after attempts to have them released on bail flopped.
So as it is, Your Honor, we are within the law in availing the accused person before court for plea taking.
There was drama at Nakuru Law Courts after members of the Law Society of Kenya Nakuru branch stormed judges' offices to eject her for defying the national boycott call on court proceedings. More of this in Counties Wrap.
Of the market.
Led by LSK Rift Valley Regional President Wangari Mwangi, the lawyers accused the magistrate of defying the advocate strike by proceeding with court sessions and hearing cases despite the ongoing boycott.
Allow such judicial officers to be brought to our station. We're not going to allow errant judges and magistrates who think they can do whatever they want, they can speak however they want, they can conduct themselves in a manner likely to intimidate advocates.
It is very sad that having signed up for this job and knowing very well that you can be posted anywhere within the Republic, you choose to arrogantly address advocates.
Meanwhile, a section of members of the National Assembly from Meru County has expressed concern over the slow implementation and stalling of several national government development projects.
Kuna maendeleo ambayo imesimama, kuna maendeleo inaendelea, kuna maendeleo mapya ambaye ilipangwa na kuna maendeleo ambaye tunaongojea serikali iweke kwa gazeti. Kwa hivyo sisi tumekutana kama wabunge kuzungumza mambo mawili.
In West Pokot County, residents drawn from Baptist, Lutheran, Legio Maria and Andalala areas in Kapenguria are calling for urgent maintenance of streetlights, saying years of darkness have exposed them to crime and accidents.
Hii sehemu yetu ya Legio Maria, sehemu ya Baptist, iko shida sana ya security. Hasa upande wa light. Ikifika usiku hata bodaboda anaogopa kuleta mteja sehemu hii. Kwa sababu anapofika sehemu hii hakuna light, hata mteja anaposhuka kufika kwake inakuwa shida.
Kama ingewezekana ili usalama iwe imarike kiasi, mtusaidie hizi ma street lights, kufufua hizi ma street lights along Lutheran, kanisa ya Legio Maria Baptist mpaka Andalala.
In Elgeyo Marakwet County, young people have been challenged to embrace the internet and digital technologies responsibly to improve their livelihoods and avoid being left behind in the rapidly evolving digital world.
Sicheze na mambo ya digitization. Mambo dunia inaelekea hapo na hatutaki kuachwa nyuma. Hivyo ndivyo sababu nilihimiza mambo ya internet, mambo ya digitization, na ndio Communication Authority wako hapo kabisa.
Elsewhere, several avocado farmers from Kembo, Chemaner, Amerigi wards in Bomet East received training on standard certification and best crop husbandry, which will allow their crops to access European markets.
The objective of today's meeting was to meet with the farmers and then brief them on the trends in the market, and also take them through on how to take care of the fruits so that we increase the exportable quantity by making sure that the pests are controlled, and also we use the right farm inputs so that we meet the requirements of the market.
And on that note, we take a quick commercial break. Don't go too far. There's still so much more coming your way.
Do you save for retirement?
Kwani mimi ni mzee? I'm still young and I've got plenty of time to start saving later. Then again, si watu wa jua kali, hatunanga hizo ma pension plans.
Kwani ujui unaweza register with an individual pension plan yenye iko regulated na RBA?
Inawakaje?
Una deposit any amount of money at any time na uko guaranteed ukikuwa mzee maisha yako itakuwa nywe.
Baadaye vile nakushua ni ukweli. Hadi mimi boost savings zangu kwa scheme yetu ya job.
Really?
Nilijua siwezi kuwa kijana forever. Sis, usikose kujipanga mapema. Tutakuwa wazee wa maana.
Ebu nionyesheni kuwa mzee wa maana.
Ensure you save and plan for your retirement during your youthful working days. Provided you are earning an income, you can join a retirement benefit scheme registered by Retirement Benefits Authority and safeguard your tomorrow. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Kituo unachokienzi cha KBC Radio Taifa kitakuletea tamasha kubwa la Rumba Night mjini Kakamega katika klabu ya Havana Lounge. Kikosi kizima cha KBC Radio Taifa kikiongozwa na Mfumu Kimbangu aka Mzairwa kitatua Kakamega kukutana na kusherehekea pamoja na wasikilizaji wake. Hafla hii itang'oa nanga Ijumaa tarehe 24 na Zinga Live pale Hetia Supermarket Kakamega kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Kisha tuelekee Emusala Special School eneo bunge la Lurambi na Malava Special Unit eneo bunge la Malava. Baadaye mida ya jioni tutajumuika Havana Lounge kwa tamasha la Rumba Night. Jumamosi tarehe 25 tutakuwa kwenye tamasha la Ramani ya Kiswahili pamoja na mwalimu Mathias Momanyi katika shule ya upili ya wasichana ya Butere. Jiunge nasi tutengeneze kumbukumbu pamoja na Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya. Kukosa ni makosa.
Everything you know is a fragment of a story.
We only see the outer shell of facts and happenings through a time period of change in policies, regimes, traditions, and climates. We explore the moment that shaped our present and build our identity.
Legacies, stories behind iconic figures, landmarks, folktales, and myths, linking the past to the present. Experience a journey through time in the history of our country.
Know your history every Friday at 9 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Nice.
Let's now welcome Team DGDA.
And welcome back watching Lunchtime News on KBC Channel 1. And now Radio Taifa, one of the pioneer radio stations under the KBC stable, is currently in Kakamega County preparing a riveting Rumba night show for its fans. The extravaganza will be held at Havana Lounge. The station's host and leadership are currently in Malava Sub-County at Musala Special School for a corporate social responsibility activity. Now later in the day, they will retreat to the lounge for the Grand Rumba show. On Saturday, they will host the popular Swahili program Ramani ya Kiswahili at Butere Girls High School. Now let's join Achola Simon for the latest. Simon Achola, if you can hear me, what's going down there?
Good afternoon, Giverson. Indeed, we are in Kakamega County, and of course, the big event goes down tonight when Radio Taifa will be hosting. It is a Rumba night at Havana Lounge. That is within the CBD of Kakamega County. But before we get to that, of course, there are a number of activities that KBC has actually lined up for its supporters here in Kakamega County. Among them was, of course, that very productive interview we had in the morning with the governor of Kakamega County, who actually spelled his development agenda for Kakamega County. And then, of course, right now where we are at Malava Special School Unit here in Malava Sub-County. And what exactly is happening is that KBC, with its generosity, has actually brought canter full of goodies for these special kids in this institution. So then I don't belabor you with much of exactly what is happening behind. I'll just give the Taifa, Radio Taifa head so that then she can tell us exactly why they are here and what they exactly will be doing.
Yeah.
Becky.
Yes, Simon.
Yes.
Thank
what
you
exactly?
very much.
Why are we here, and what exactly happening in the big background?
Yeah, we've come to Western Kenya to visit our fans and extend our hand of help to the children that are needy. And right now we're at Malava Special Unit School to just share goodies, mattresses, food stuff, and the like. So we've come to interact with fans. We started at Kakamega in HS Supermarket, where we had a conversation with the county governor of Kakamega. We just heard about, the politics of Kakamega. Thereafter, we are here. And after this, we go to another children's home because we have so much to give to the community. And thereafter, we all converge at Havana's Lounge for Rumba nights. Yes.
And everybody is invited. People have been asking about where they're supposed to get the tickets and what exactly will be going down. Can you kindly clarify if this is a free-for-all event?
This event, for your information, is free for all. Let no one ask you for a dime. It's free. So come, let's have fun the Rumba way tonight. Mfumu Kimbang will be there, and Radio Taifa presenters. Caroline Bramba will be there. I have Isaac Lemoka here. I have Dora Manya and everyone else. So let's meet there for Rumba fun.
It's not just about Rumba. And also connecting with the fans, but also tomorrow, I understand there are a number of activities that you guys are supposed to be doing in this county.
Yes, absolutely. We also have a schools program called Ramani ya Kiswahili, and we thought it best, we can't come to Western Kenya without visiting a school. So we are going to Butere Girls in the morning at 8 a.m. and we have other 5 schools that are joining in, so it's a big deal. So we'll be at Butere High School doing Ramani ya Kiswahili from 8 to 10 a.m. Matthias Momanyi is here and the team, so they should expect so much more good stuff.
You have kept on mentioning some of the popular names on Radio Taifa and, of course, KBC Channel 1. Why have you come with them?
I've come to them because these are the people who are known in the ground. These are the people that the fans can relate to. I mean, if you mention Caroline Bramba, for instance, a fan, we've had so many fans come. Where is Caroline? Where is Matthias? Where is Lemoka? So they're the people that interact with these audiences and they are known here on the ground. So if we can't come without them, then what are we doing?
Fantastic. Your last word before we talk to Caroline and Lemoka?
My last word is Karibuni Sana. We are at Malava Special School Unit. Then we go to Emusali, I believe. Then after that, we'll be at the Rumba night at Havana's Lounge. So Karibuni Sana, and we are happy. And we have the students here. Can you cheer? Yeah! See you there.
Fantastic. Carol, not so many people believe that you're actually here. And they kept on asking if indeed you are here. Your word to them?
Yeah, my word to them is that I am here. My name is Mtoto Mzuri, Caroline Mramba. And yes, here I am at Kakamega. This is Malava Special Unit. And we are here for you guys. Later in the evening, we are going to have Rumba night. Tunasema in Kiswahili, unikamate ni kukamate, mziki mzito kwa watu wazito. So please come, as we have said, as my boss has said, it's absolutely free, no entrance fee. So just come, let's have fun, let's make a night of memory.
Great, Carol. Just in conclusion, we also have here Isaac Lamoka. Lamoka, you are in Kakamega County. Yeah. What are you going to tell your fans?
Of course, we are just here to demonstrate that regardless of the ability, every child needs to have equal opportunity, and just to make the public aware about the stigma that they do really have for this kind of children. So we are here to do that and just promote talent, encourage them, know the challenges that they go through, and spread the love.
Your home county is not far away from here. I am told that a number of your village mates are actually here.
Kujeni pale Rumba bana, tusherekee pamoja.
Fantastic. Give us on. Those are KBC presenters and of course the head of Radio Taifa, Becky Cheroitich, just telling us exactly what will be happening this part of the county today. And of course what they're saying is that please come also, then we can enjoy Rumba night that will be going down at Havana Lounge in Kakamega County today evening. But just before I go, I'm told the principal of this institution is here, and she just has at least one word to say to KBC before we close.
Thank you so much, KBC. Asante sana, mmetufikia. This is the fastest county, a new county in Kakamega. Tunawashukuru sana kwa msaada ambayo mmetuletea, na pia tunashukuru mmehimiza wengine wasifiche wale watoto walemavu. Asante.
Thank you very much, madam. Give us on. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Simon Achola. Right there, Radio Taifa on the road. A lot of activities in Kakamega County. And if you're a fan of Rumba, Havana Lounge is the place to be tonight. And away from that, Nyandarua County Commissioner Abdi Razak Jaldesa has assured all Kalau residents that investigations into the deaths of 2 people during last week's parliamentary by-election are ongoing. Now, though no arrests have been made so far, he pledged that justice will be pursued once all leads have been pursued. Speaking after a county security committee meeting, Jaldesa commended residents for turning out peacefully to vote.
County Commissioner and his team here, and the sub-county security teams did their work with dedication, without being partial, and actually no political party actually complained that the county commissioner did not provide them with adequate security.
He pledged the government's commitment to apprehending the persons behind the killing of 2 people during the mini-poll. One of the victims was laid to rest on Thursday, while the second victim will be interned Friday.
I again repeat, that was very unfortunate. It's something, as county security team, we have said that whoever has information, because the 2 incidences which happened, there could be many people there. Let them, because the DCI is here, the police commander is also here, let them report.
Also in Mombasa County, Investments, Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui has warned that political statements are capable of undermining investor confidence and could further jeopardize opportunities that benefit all Kenyans, regardless of political affiliation.
Ours would be just to ask for caution, that we should not allow our internal political differences to come in the way of investment in our country. Because these investors are coming for everybody. The people who will be employed here in other facilities will also be coming to benefit Kenyans wherever they come from.
This as a section of lawmakers drawn from Meru County expressed concern over slow implementation and stalling of several national government projects.
Hivi karibuni tutatangaza maneno ya siasa katika kaunti yetu ya Meru. Ya pili, Kuna maendeleo ambayo imesimama, kuna maendeleo inaendelea, kuna maendeleo mapya ambaye ilipangwa, na kuna maendeleo ambaye tunaongojea serikali iweke kwa gazeti. Kwa hivyo sisi tumekutana kama wabunge kuzungumza mambo mawili.
Led by Buri lawmaker Mugambi Rindikiri and Mpurwa Buri of Tigania East, they emphasize that Kenyans deserve timely completion of projects.
Sisi hatuna vita na serikali completely 100%. Lakini yetu ni moja, ni kusema kwamba handi ambaye ile tuliahindiwa miaka 3 iliyopita tunataka itimishwe, kwa sababu katika ground unakuta wanaenda bodi, kuna handi iliahindiwa bodi injatimika, kuna handi iliahindiwa Imenti South injatimika, kuna ingine Tigani East injatimika, kuna ingine Central Imenti injatimika na Gembe North and Central. So yetu ni kusema kwamba zile handi zote ambazo ziliahindiwa wananchi kwa ground itimishwe
regardless of the prevailing political environment. Now let's go to business now. Maize production is projected to reduce by 30% this year due to depressed rains being experienced in the breadbasket regions. Now, Agriculture Principal Secretary Dr. Kiprono Rono says parts of the Western Kenya and the North Rift region have borne the brunt of erratic rains, with smallholder farmers as well as those contracted maize seed growers affected.
Maize crops in parts of Western Kenya and the North Rift have been drying up after weeks without rain.
Huwa ninalima mbegu, na kwa hiyo mbegu nusu yake tayari imeharibika. Nilitumia almost 10 million. Na saa hizi kenye kiko hata kiwezi kafika pale, ni nusu yake.
Kwa ekari moja natarajia tani 2. Lakini hivi sasa haifiki hata kilo 200. Ambaye ni disaster. Hata kwa sisi wenyewe hatujui tutaanzaje.
The national government has begun assessing the extent of crop losses to inform interventions aimed at cushioning affected farmers and safeguarding food security.
Effect of this drought has affected both commercial farmers, which I'm saying ordinary farmers, the smallholder farmers, and also they have affected the seed growing farmers, like Kenya Seed ADC. They are affected. ADC is affected and Kenya Seed 25%.
Among the proposed intervention is provision of subsidies to enable farmers whose maize crops have failed to plant some crops during the short rain season.
We'll be asking the government to see if they can subsidize on seeds and also on fertilizer, especially for the small-scale farmers, so that they can still go back to the farms and also produce the food for their own consumption and probably others for commercial.
Not everything is lost. The government is listening, our president is listening, and we shall be able to move together to mitigate this journey to ensure that at least the losses are reduced.
Dr. Rono says the Ministry of Agriculture is engaging key stakeholders to develop support measures for both commercial maize farmers and maize seed producers who have suffered heavy losses. Trevor Ngindo for Lunchtime News.
Sad situation in the country. And away from that, engineers are calling on government agencies to settle verified pending bills owed to contractors, consultants and engineering firms, warning that delayed payments are weakening local firms' ability to participate in infrastructure projects. Institution of Engineers of Kenya Vice President Harrison Keter says payments delays have eroded the financial capacity of engineers, limiting their access to credit and locking many out of new contracts.
Data from the National Treasury indicates that the Pending Bills Verification Committee received claims worth 664.8 billion shillings, out of which 80.3 billion shillings is verified road sector claims for securitization, while 155.3 billion shillings is additional verified claims that are scheduled for phased settlement.
National Infrastructure Fund should therefore be able to ring-fence funds for every project so that as a project kicks off, the funds are available and there is no opportunity for diverting it into other causes. That will put the issue of pending bills in a forgotten debate.
The Institution of Engineers of Kenya is pushing for inclusion of engineers in the National Infrastructure Fund.
We have all that we need to develop. We'll therefore need to avail resources to train our engineers, and as IEK we shall roll out more of these relevant trainings in the field of AI, so that our engineers are ready.
We cannot shun artificial intelligence. We have reached a stage whereby now we have to embrace it. And I think right from the time the students come into university, they should be well aware of what it entails and how they can responsibly apply artificial intelligence.
Engineers are calling for an upward review of local content requirements in public infrastructure projects from the current 40% to 60% to create more employment opportunities for Kenyans, retain technical expertise, as well as strengthen local contractors and suppliers.
For now, we will work with what we want, what we have, but there are those processes that are coming. Setting up of the Secretariat Board, the CEO, and other senior employees of the fund. We would want engineers to be at that table. That is the only way we can set the stage of design, planning, and implementation, successful implementation of infrastructure projects.
That will be done even more because the female engineers are there. Like in the graduate engineers, the registered graduate engineers, there are actually very many female engineers. So the transition into professional engineers, gender notwithstanding, if the Women in Engineering forum is actually is better and the capacity is increased, I think naturally more women will transition.
The Public-Private Partnerships Directorate has dismissed claims that the proposed Public-Private Partnerships Amendment Bill of 2026 would transfer its projects oversight role to the contracting authority. Now, PPP Director General Engineer Kefa Seda has reaffirmed that its oversight mandate remains unchanged in the proposed reforms. Now, Engineer Seda says by transferring financial and operational risk to private entities, the government can swiftly deliver critical infrastructure. Here's more.
There has been some sort of information circulating on social media platform which borders misinformation or misrepresentation on the sort of amendments that we're doing. And there seems to be an interpretation that the PPP Directorate or the National Treasury is abdicating its approval or oversight role when it comes to evaluation of PPP projects. PPP Directorate will be reviewing and issuing no objections or approval to all evaluation reports that emanate from contracting authorities. We all know the sort of risk exposure we might have if we get things wrong, and therefore as a directorate we'll make sure that anything that comes from the contracting authorities, be it from the national government or from the devolved units, we review them before we forward them to the PPP committee to make the requisite decisions.
The government is supporting acceleration of value addition to tea, to brand Kenyan tea, and enhance income from the cash crop. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says the support to factories is aimed at improving tea quality, increasing processing capacity, and enhancing competitiveness of Kenyan tea in the global market. Take a look.
Largest agricultural foreign exchange earner for Kenya after horticulture, and supports the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of smallholder farmers. In recent years, the government has introduced reforms aimed at improving the value chain's competitiveness through value addition, factory modernization, and new export markets.
Sisi pia ni lazima tuwe na uwezo wa kufika Ulaya na kusema this is Kenya tea. Vile wewe unaingia kiosk, unanunua chupa ya Coca-Cola. Tunataka mtu akiingia supermarket Ulaya, anaingia ananunua majani ya wapi? Ya Kenya.
Kagwe says enhancing value addition will empower tea factories to improve efficiency, production of higher value teas, returns for farmers, and competitiveness of Kenyan tea in international markets.
Ni lazima tupange chai yetu ionekane TV, ionekane kwa bus, ionekane kwa redio huko Ulaya. Ndio tea yetu, chai yetu iwe ikipanda na ikipatiwa bei ya juu.
He urged stakeholders to support initiatives aimed at strengthening the sustainability of the tea value chain.
A country grows because a farmer has got something in the pocket. And the something in the farmer's pocket feeds into the rest of the industry. The country grows because a farmer has got a product which he takes for value adding. And when they add value adding, you get jobs. And when you get jobs, our country becomes more stable.
Ndotamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
Let's get sporty now. It's all systems go as the 2026 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations takes center stage this weekend from Sunday, with KBC Channel 1 set to broadcast live all the matches from Morocco. Now, Harambee Starlets, who will be making their second appearance in the tournament, will kick off the campaign on Sunday against host Morocco from 11 p.m.
Harambee Starlets are already in Morocco for the tournament, which kicks off on Sunday at 8 p.m, with Senegal taking on Algeria in Group A, before the Kenyan national women's soccer team plays Morocco at 11 p.m. The Starlets will then take on Senegal on July 30th, before concluding their group stage against Algeria on the 3rd of August. The top two teams in the group will advance in the quarterfinals, set for August 8th and 9th, when they will meet opponents from Group B, which features defending champions South Africa, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso and Tanzania. Beyond the battle for the continental title, the tournament also features a pathway to the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup in Brazil. The 4 teams that reach semi-finals will secure automatic qualification for the global showpiece, while the losers still have a chance to qualify through the playoffs in Casablanca.
And our Team Kenya's quest for Commonwealth Games glory is officially underway after the national team joined athletes from 74 nations and territories during a colourful opening ceremony in Glasgow, Scotland, led by 6-time African javelin champion and team captain Julius Yego. Now, the ceremony, presided over by King Charles III, marked the official start of the 2026 Commonwealth Games and celebrated Scotland's rich culture through music, dance and spectacular performances. King Charles officially declared the Games open and called for greater efforts to protect the environment, while thanking Glasgow for stepping in to host the event. More than 3,000 athletes will compete over the next 10 days, with Team Kenya targeting medals across several disciplines, namely athletics, boxing, weightlifting, judo, powerlifting, among others. The first medals of the Games will be contested today, with Kenya's lone boxers, or rather bowlers, among the first athletes to begin the country's campaign.
Is carrying the flag.
Of Sierra Leone. Watching on, Andy Burnham, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, with the Royal Party. Triple jumper Jordan Akisoya carries the flag, the culmination of a happy couple of years for him. He got married to Victoria in 2024. He's based in the UK, and the 17-year-old grew up in London, and she has publicly thanked Dr. Shamim Umaji of St George's Hospital for saving her career after a serious ligament injury.
And now, Kenya golf and race walking legend Elisha Kasuku has published his biography named An Unrecognized Legend. The book details his life from his formative days in Nakuru before independence, his journey into global stage as a race walker and a professional golfer.
Thank you.
Jacob, the challenge is now on the side. So far.
Appreciate what Kasuku has done to the golf professionals in Kenya, especially me as a person. What we are hoping that one day, before anything happen to us, we'll find a Kenyan winning the Kenya Open.
We are trying to bring the junior, not necessarily the members juniors, but any junior, whether you are from Kibera or Babandogo or Kisumu. The foundation doesn't only take care of golf only. It will take care of the sports I did during my youth time.
Now listen to this. Ibrahim Dongo headlined a list of winners at the 2026 IPSC Level 3 Handgun and Pistol Caliber Carbine Championship after clinching the production division title during a 4-day competition held at the Hado shooting range in Naivasha. The event brought together more than 60 of Kenya's top practical shooters alongside international competitors in one of the country's biggest practical shooting championships. Now, Pravil Vora emerged champion in the standard division, while South Africa's Johan Otto claimed top honors in the optics division. Kenya's Maurice Moredi won the production optics category. Isa secured a victory in the open division, and Geoffrey Pesa topped the pistol caliber carbine PCC division. Agatha Mushiri of the Kenya Defence Forces was crowned High Lady after an outstanding performance against a strong field of competitors. And now, after just bringing you live at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, we bring you live action of the 2026 Women Africa Cup of Nations WAFCON, beginning this Sunday. It is one of the biggest women's football spectacle on the continent. Now, get ready for thrilling goals and unforgettable moments with all eyes on our Kenyan national team Harambee Starlets. That's all. My name is Giverson Minor. Our sign language interpreter is Caroline Jeroge. See you again tomorrow, same place, same time. WAFCON Iko KBC, of course.
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station, your service.
Now, retirement can be a season of change. It can be a season of freedom or uncertainty.
I had a bit of challenge with finances. For one, I was used to my money, paying my bills, and then having to ask my spouse, oh, I need to go somewhere. Can you spare me 2K, 1K? And that was quite humbling.
Yeah. I was at a place where I was saying, now I am not running after sales and marketing out here. I'm redirecting my energy elsewhere. Can we have proper conversation?
Emotionally, as you're saying, retiring as a deputy principal where you're used to people recognizing you, and I went back to the estate and you're called Mama so and so and not madam.
Not madam.
We redefine retirement and start very active life. At the age of 70, you look back and say, all has been meaningless, chasing after the wind. What am I bequeathing myself? And that's why you said, even family, sometimes children leave, and you are left a desperate woman in the house. You don't know even what to do. You have no relationships in church or in the society or anything.
Pain, heavy bleeding, and silent suffering.
Being married for long, we're supposed to see children and they're not coming.
For millions of women, this is the reality of living with uterine fibroids.
I have had the opportunity of removing a 7-kilogram fibroid.
But a groundbreaking non-invasive treatment is bringing hope.
We can treat the lesion within the uterus, leaving the uterus and also the skin and also the pathway to the uterus completely intact.
This week on Health and Lifestyle, we shine a light on one of the most common yet often misunderstood women's health conditions.
My name is Marita Davison. I'm an environmental biologist with a master's degree from Cornell University. Today we're focusing on the exploration of space and examining the question of what else is out there.
And we have liftoff.
There's a phrase used a lot by scientists involved in this kind of research called life as we know it. For many of us, we associate life with things that are vibrant and growing. We draw on our own experiences with what life is. It's interesting when you talk with people who are forced to take those assumptions about life and throw them away and essentially start from scratch, asking new questions and coming up with new definitions.
Powering the future. Confronting the world's challenges with cutting-edge solutions. Medical breakthroughs, and high-tech discoveries. These are the stories of our planet. This is VOA Tech.
Since the 1930s, the researchers and scientists at Jet Propulsion Labs in Pasadena, California, have been thinking about ways to explore our universe. And since the 1950s, they've been sending up spacecraft to do just that. With success comes notoriety. JPL has found a niche in the public's imagination with its missions to Mars. The idea of something created on Earth, traveling millions of miles through space, landing on a planet, and then sending us pictures of what it's doing, strikes at the heart of what inspires us. And it's that visual experience that is proven so important.
Roger, we copy.
Most of us can trace our interest in space to seeing it.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
To watching an indelible moment shown on television. It's no different for the men and women working at JPL.
When I was probably 8 or 9 in the late 60s, that's when they were sending astronauts out to the moon. And so we would roll the television into the classroom on the cart, and the teacher would turn it on, and the black and white film of the Apollo astronauts standing on the moon. I was actually super excited by them landing in the ocean. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, to watch a capsule land in the ocean, and then to see the frogmen jump out of the helicopters. So that, I think, was kind of my first interest in the space program, was sort of those early elementary school years.
Susie Dodd has spent her entire professional career at JPL. She has held several different titles and has always had a hand in the grandfather of all JPL missions, Voyager.
When I first started at JPL, I actually started on the Voyager project. I came in before the Uranus encounter in 1985. I am currently now the Voyager project manager, which is just super exciting to have the very first job in your career on a mission just as the junior engineer. And now it's 33 years later, 34 years later, I'm the project manager of Voyager. You know, it's an incredible mission. It's lasted now into its 41st year.
The identical Voyager spacecraft each weighed just over 1,700 pounds and carried 230 pounds of scientific instruments. It's the 1970s, remember? So their flight data system was a single 8-track digital tape recorder. Both spacecraft also carried a 12-inch golden phonograph record containing pictures and sounds of Earth, you know, just in case.
Voyager are two spacecrafts, and the original mission for Voyager was a 4-year mission launched in 1977 to go to Jupiter and to Saturn with two spacecrafts so that hopefully one would work.
As it turned out, the decision to launch the Voyager rockets in 1977 wasn't happenstance. In fact, it was a once-in-a-century opportunity.
1977 is a critical year because that's the year when all the outer planets are basically aligned on the same side, closest to us and on the same side of the sun. So you can go reach all of them in the shortest distance. And that only happens about once every 176 years. You know, before 1977, the last time that happened is when Thomas Jefferson was president of the United States.
So it was a very calculated effort there.
So we took advantage of that alignment of the planets to have a mission that went to Jupiter and Saturn, and then, if successful, to continue on to Uranus and Neptune. And it turned out that both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were successful in their data taking and their scientific objectives at Jupiter and Saturn. And so Voyager 2 carried on to Uranus and carried on to Neptune in the late 80s. Voyager 1 was put on a trajectory such that it would get close to Saturn's moon Titan.
For all the wonders of science and technology, they are fields usually marked by incremental advancements. Voyager's beauty is that it gave the world surprise moments in a discipline where few exist. And so I've seen some of the images that were generated from Voyager. Tell me a bit more about, what specifically were you interested in capturing?
Certainly some of the highlights included seeing active volcanoes on Io, which is a moon of Jupiter. Nobody had ever seen active volcanoes anywhere but our own Earth before. You can think about the magnificent ring system that's at Saturn. Just truly gorgeous. What we learned there about how the rings keep their shape, how they interact with each other, really a surprise. Uranus and Neptune each had their own surprises as well.
Those surprises were on full display when JPL allowed cameras onto its campus in 1989 to let the public watch images of Voyager 2's flyby of Neptune come in at the same time as the scientists charged with studying them. And 41 years after it launched, using technology and engineering and computer software from the 1970s, Voyager is still going to a new frontier.
So for a 4-year mission, it was able to get 2 more planets, both Uranus and Neptune, and then continue on since 1990 in what we call the Voyager Interstellar mission, which was this search to reach the heliopause, which is where the edge of the sun's effects stop, where you no longer feel solar flares, you no longer are in the charged particle atmosphere of the sun. Voyager 1 crossed the heliopause in August of 2012, and Voyager 2 just crossed here in December of 2018.
In other words, both Voyager spacecraft have left what we think of as our solar system. So what was that moment like when you realized this is what happened? I mean, this is a historic moment. Nothing had ever reached that far before, right?
The suspense was built up over 3 or 4 months. We started to see an increase in particles coming from interstellar space. At the same time, we started to see a decrease of particles coming from the sun, and they pretty much aligned. But every once in a while, there'd be a blip, and they'd go back to where they were, but then it would change, then it would go increase again, and then a little dip, and then a blip, and then finally they just went boom, and out. Watching that just had the suspense growing, are we seeing it? Are we close? Are we there? And when it finally crossed, it was great. It's like, we're there,
Wow.
This Voyager project, this Voyager spacecraft, something that's built on early 70s, 1972 technology, has made it into interstellar space.
I mean, communication at that scale is something almost impossible to wrap your head around. I mean, how does one wrap their head around how you can communicate with something that is 13 billion miles away and counting?
Well, it is hard to think about. If you assume that Voyager, which is actually true, it transmits at about 23 watts. That's kind of the same as your refrigerator light bulb. By the time that signal gets to the Earth, it's on the order of 10 to the minus 21 watts of power that the antennas are receiving. So What's really important is actually have all these antennas on the Earth that can catch that signal, and to have the technology to be able to array those antennas together to squeeze that signal out of it.
The antennas, capable of receiving a signal less than what's required to power a refrigerator light bulb, is called the Deep Space Network. So tell me about the Deep Space Network. What is it, and what is it hoping to accomplish?
Well, so the Deep Space Network is a group of large antennas that we use to track exactly what we call deep space missions. So these are missions that are out at the moon or beyond the moon, basically. They're located in 3 locations around the world. There's a set just outside of Madrid, Spain, out by Barstow and what's called Goldstone, California, so halfway between Pasadena and Vegas, out there in the Mojave Desert. And there's a set in outside of Canberra, Australia. And they're in those locations because they're equidistant around the Earth. So if your spacecraft is way out there, say at Jupiter or Saturn, or even in interstellar space, the way Voyager is, as the Earth rotates around, one of those antennas is always in view of the spacecraft.
And how far out can they receive signals from?
They can receive signals basically to nearly infinity. Voyager 1 in particular is the furthest spacecraft from us. It's 13.8 billion miles from Earth today. It travels at a speed slightly over 35,000 miles per hour, and it's just on its way out. There's nothing that's gonna stop it. We'll be able to track it definitely for as long as its lifetime. Voyager is operated by a nuclear power source, plutonium-238, and so it loses 4 watts of power a year. And in another 5 years, we really won't have enough power to operate anymore and operate the transmitter on Voyager.
Now, how long does it take for a signal to reach you?
So a signal from Earth to the spacecraft takes 20 hours, and then it takes 20 more hours for the spacecraft to respond back to us and say that it got the signal. I always like to characterize it if I walk into my office Monday morning and I say, "Hi, Voyager 1, how are you doing?" I'll hear back sometime late Tuesday afternoon, maybe Tuesday evening, that it's doing okay. So you know, with that kind of a mission, the spacecraft has to be very self-sustaining.
The Deep Space Network is not just communicating with the Voyager spacecraft. Any mission outside of the moon's orbit uses the DSN to download data and receive instructions. Its presence is crucial to current missions, but also a necessity for the future exploration of deep space. So when you think about this succession of, the previous projects beget the next, and just that progression in the way things are done, what's next here at JPL?
You've whet your appetite by doing a flyby, so now you want to have an orbiter. And so for Jupiter, Galileo was what I would call the child of Voyager, right? It was the orbiter that went in and went around and studied the planet as well as some of the moons. And now we're working on the grandchildren. We're working on a new mission called Europa, which is going to orbit around the moon of Jupiter, Europa. And so each successful mission spawns the next mission. The scientists say, wow, that piece of data really looked interesting, or that atmosphere of Jupiter really looked interesting. Let's have a specific mission to look at the atmosphere. Or let's have a specific mission to look at Europa. And one of the reasons they want to look at Europa is they feel that Europa has an icy crust to it. And they think that underneath that icy crust, there may be some possible signs of life. And so that's what they're really looking for in studying with the Europa mission.
It's no great surprise that Cynthia Phillips, lead scientist for the study of Europa, also became interested in science by watching a space mission on TV.
When I was in high school, the Voyager 2 spacecraft flew past Neptune. And so, being a persuasive kid, I managed to persuade my parents to let me stay up all night and watch this live feed they had on PBS. And so as the pictures came down from the Voyager spacecraft, the only way that the scientists could see them was if they were physically here at JPL. And so all of the scientists, including Carl Sagan, who of course was my idol as well as most people in my generation.
Many, yes.
So there he was in the control room. And he was watching these pictures come down, him and other really eminent scientists of the day. They're watching these pictures. They're the first humans to set eyes on these worlds far out in orbit around Neptune.
What might be a surprise is one of the Voyager team members who inspired Cynthia that night some 30 years ago.
Good morning.
and welcome to the 6 a.m. edition of Voyager Update. I'm your host, Suzanne Dodd. At 6 o'clock a.m. Pacific Daylight Time today, Voyager is 576,000 kilometers, or 356,000 miles, above the swirling cloud tops of Neptune and traveling away from that distant planet now.
There are not many pictures of Europa. It's not even a planet, but it does have something that captures the imagination. And when it comes to space exploration, that carries a lot of weight.
I think that Europa is the best place to look for life beyond the Earth.
Although not often spoken aloud, if there is an underlying motive to JPL's research, and its missions, and its launches, and the exploration, and all the work that goes into all of the above, it might be that there could be something else out there. The theory of life on Europa starts with its age.
Europa is a small moon of Jupiter. It's about the same size as Earth's moon. But what's really cool about Europa is that instead of being an old, cratered, battered body like our own moon, Europa is young. It's geologically has a very young surface. Its surface is covered with ice rather than rock. And instead of being covered with craters, instead what we see on it are cracks and ridges and broken up areas. And so that tells us something's got to be going on there.
The theory then moves to the conditions scientists look for when looking for life.
There's a layer of frozen ice at the surface, but under that frozen ice shell, there's a layer of liquid water, and that water ocean actually has more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. And I think that because it has all of the ingredients for life. So when we're looking for life, we're really looking for life as we know it. And so that's life that's based on liquid water. It's based on the right combination of chemical elements. So these are things like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, sulfur. So these are kind of the building blocks of life. Again, life on Earth.
Right.
And then we also need an energy source. So something that can cause chemical reactions to happen. It would be really boring if all you had was liquid water and you had some chemicals, but nothing's going on, nothing's happening. And so we think that Europa actually has all three of those requirements for life. It has this huge liquid ocean. It has the right chemical elements. We're pretty sure of that just based on our models of how Europa formed, plus the composition that we see at the surface. And we think it has an energy source as well. And that's what makes Europa so exciting.
What is the energy source?
Just like at the bottom of Earth's oceans, there we have things called hydrothermal systems. So we have vents where hot material from Earth's interior can come up at the bottom of Earth's ocean and it can heat the water. The hot water can circulate through the crust and it can get heated. And those hydrothermal systems, those deep sea vents, are some of the places where you find the most life at the bottom of Earth's oceans. Those same systems could exist at the bottom of Europa's ocean. And so that could be a huge energy source for life.
The importance of Europa established, JPL next set out to develop a mission to study it further.
The Europa Clipper mission was developed to basically be that next look at Europa. And what's really cool about it is that one of the big problems with studying Europa, again, is that radiation. And so the problem is that if you orbit Europa, you're getting fried by radiation. And the radiation comes from charged particles that are basically accelerated by Jupiter's magnetic field. So those charged particles come in, they just come screaming in, and they just destroy anything that's near Europa.
So it's radiation that's coming from Jupiter that could destroy the spacecraft.
Yeah, and so if you're in orbit around Europa, you can only survive for about a month. So think about it, you're spending 20 years to develop a mission, it's very expensive, and you only live for a month. That's always been kind of the sticking point. And so fortunately, those, the brilliant engineers here at JPL, again, they came up with this really great idea, which is basically you orbit Jupiter, but you have these multiple close flybys of Europa. And so it's kind of like you get ready, you come screaming in past Europa, you sort of hold your breath, then you point all your instruments at Europa, you take all your pictures as fast as you can as you come in around Europa, and then you get out away from it as quickly as you can. You gotta take a deep breath. And then you can play back all of your data and then get ready for the next encounter.
Just as on Mars, the point of an orbiter is to lay the groundwork for the next logical mission, a lander. So take me from the Clipper mission, which is in progress and hopefully going to happen before long, to I know you've got a project that's just in the concepting phase, the Europa lander.
To really look for life on Europa, to really look for what we call biosignatures, signs of life. You need to land. You need to touch that surface. And so the next mission, the next step after this analysis from orbit from Europa Clipper is to land on the surface. And so I've been working on a mission concept called Europa Lander. And so what Europa Lander would do is land on the surface of Europa. And so the top level science goal for Europa Lander is to look for biosignatures on Europa. So you go from habitability, which is what Europa Clipper does, to biosignatures. And so the Europa Clipper mission, it would be so exciting because that would be the first time that you could really visualize what it would be like to stand on the surface of Europa. All of our pictures that we have from Mars, all of our pictures from orbit are amazing. But when you think of Mars, you probably think of what Mars looks like from the surface, from those rovers that have been driving around, right? But we don't have any sense of what it would be like to land on Europa, to land on one of these icy worlds from the outer solar system. And that's what Europa Lander would do. By landing on the surface, we get that perspective. But more importantly, you also can directly look for life. And so what the Europa Lander mission would do is it would land on the surface. It would have a robotic arm, and the arm would be able to dig or drill or saw down under the icy surface. So the surface of Europa is bathed in this radiation. If any signs of life made it to the surface, they're just going to get destroyed by the radiation, and we'd never be able to find them. But if we can get down 10 centimeters, that's only a couple inches below the surface, ice is actually a really good radiation shield. And so it turns out that 10 centimeters is kind of your minimum depth. If you can get down at least 10 centimeters and sample from the bottom of this trench that you make, scoop it up, bring it on board your spacecraft, then you can run it through even more sensitive and detailed chemical analysis instruments to look for what's in that material, to look for carbon compounds, to look for other interesting complex organics perhaps, and then send that data back to Earth. And then meanwhile, you're taking lots of pictures with your camera, of course.
As plans are being made for Europa, and as Voyager speeds out of our solar system, what is the next frontier for the exploration of our universe? One potential clue came courtesy of a JPL satellite called Spitzer.
Spitzer is a space telescope that measures light in infrared wavelengths. So infrared wavelengths are wavelengths that basically are heat. One of the great things about Spitzer is it's been able to look at exoplanets. Now, exoplanets are planets that are around other star systems, and it can detect exoplanets by watching the signal from a star dim as the exoplanet goes in front of it. TRAPPIST-1 is an exoplanet system that the Spitzer Space Telescope spent a lot of time looking at. So the result is that Spitzer found 7 different planets around this one star, and that's what they call the TRAPPIST system. And each planet is slightly different. You've got the ones that are close to the sun, and you got the ones that are far away from that sun. And what exoplanet scientists are really interested in is what's called the habitable zone or the Goldilocks zone.
The just right zone.
The just right zone, which would match what we have here on Earth. The energy, the distance from the star, and the energy that's received at a similar orbit as the Earth is in. In other words, could we find a planet that could harbor life in another system? And I think it's pretty mind-blowing to think about it, because then now you're talking about looking for things like we're not alone. Okay, we are not the only planet that can have life on it.
It's really amazing when you think about it that way. I mean, what's struck me in all of the conversations I've had today here at JPL is that you guys are talking about this like it's, you're having coffee on a Tuesday morning. Personally for you, what is that like, to realize that you are working on something in your day-to-day that is so beyond what most of us will ever really be able to comprehend?
Well, I think it really takes it to heart that we're blessed for what we get to do here. Still, one of my fondest memories is working on the Neptune encounter and seeing an image of Neptune, a full-screen image of Neptune that I was able to be involved with designing. 3 or 4 years later, it's in my kid's science book. I mean, how cool is that? To say, I designed that picture. I was involved with the project that took that picture, and now my kids are learning about it in their elementary school science book.
It's been said that when it comes to space exploration, there are many beginnings but few endings. One spacecraft leads so that others may follow, just as one generation of scientists makes their mark and then gives way to the next, each contributing what they can to the unending arc of discovery.
we are the Davons, and then one of the service, and we sat next to each other.
Hivi ulikuwa umemnotice venye mulikanisha?
We wacha. Anasemanga I ghosted him for like 3 months or so.
This time I find a wife. I'm not letting her.
For me, also he wasn't among the people I would date typically.
We planned the first engagement, it fails.
Like he's very romantic. The first time they came in kwa introduction, walikasirikiana. Our wedding was so beautiful. My dress.
So haujai kuwa na challenge yake akiweka masocks sijui wapi?
Never.
Nikianza kukuja nguo lazima atu.
We're expectant this year.
Kituo unachokienzi cha KBC Radio Taifa kitakuletea tamasha kubwa la Rumba Night mjini Kakamega katika klabu ya Havana Lounge. Kikosi kizima cha KBC Radio Taifa kikiongozwa na Mfumo Kimbangu aka Mzairwa kitatua Kakamega kukutana na kusherehekea pamoja na wasikilizaji wake. Hafla hii itang'oa nanga Ijumaa tarehe 24 na Zinga Live pale Hetia Supermarket Kakamega kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Kisha tuelekee Emusala Special School eneo bunge la Lurambi na Malava Special Unit eneo bunge la Malava. Baadaye mida ya jioni tutajumuika Havana Lounge kwa tamasha la Rumba Night. Jumamosi tarehe 25 tutakuwa kwenye tamasha la Ramani ya Kiswahili pamoja na mwalimu Mathias Momanyi katika shule ya upili ya wasichana ya Butere. Jiunge nasi tutengeneze kumbukumbu pamoja na Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya.
Nakoza ungepamba ti kama ta
kukosa ni makosa.
Now, retirement can be a season of change. It can be a season of freedom or uncertainty.
I had a bit of challenge with finances. For one, I was used to my money, paying my bills, and then having to ask my spouse, oh, I need to go somewhere. Can you spare me 2K, 1K? And that was quite humbling.
I was at a place where I was saying, now I am not running after sales and marketing out here. I'm redirecting my energy elsewhere. Can we have proper conversation?
Emotionally, as you're saying, retiring as a deputy principal where you're used to people recognizing you, and I went back to the estate and you're called Mama so and so. And not madam.
Not madam.
We redefine retirement and start very active life. At the age of 70, you look back and say, all has been meaningless, chasing after the wind. What am I bequeathing myself? And that's why you said, even family, sometimes children leave. And you are left a desperate woman in the house. You don't know even what to do. You have no relationships in church or in the society or anything.
Mkulima wa wiki hii ni mwanamke bomba aliyejitosa katika kilimo biashara.
Chakula yao ya kwanza tunapatia saa 12 asubuhi. Ya pili tunawapatia saa 6 mchana. Alafu ikienda kidogo mpaka saa 9 hivi saa 11 tunafunga mambo ya chakula. Lakini maji inaenda throughout. Kwa sababu kuku ni maji.
Ungana nasi Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1. Tuangazie ufugaji wa kuku na faida zake.
For nearly 2 decades, Vision 2030 has served as Kenya's national development blueprint, guiding investments aimed at transforming the country into a lower middle-income economy. Launched in 2008 under former President Mwai Kibaki's administration, the strategy was anchored on 3 pillars: economic, social, and political, with flagship projects spanning transport infrastructure, energy, ICT, manufacturing, education, and governance reforms. With 3 years to go, the government is now laying the foundation for the country's next long-term development agenda.
Let us approach this task with confidence, humility, and a shared purpose, determined to leave to the future generations not merely a stable economy, but a stronger nation.
President William Ruto has on Tuesday afternoon received the draft blueprint, which was developed by a team led by Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, Professor Michael Chege, Professor Karuti Kanyinga, and Professor Peter Wanyande.
As government, we shall now study this proposal carefully. We shall engage with its recommendations, consult widely, reflect on the ideas this proposal advances, and once that process has been concluded, I will communicate the way forward as we shape Kenya's next long-term national vision.
The report proposes strategic investments in key sectors including education, where increased government support for university students has been identified as a priority, alongside expanded investments in the energy sector to support industrialization and economic growth.
Going forward, any university, any student, so long as they have passed their exam and they have been placed in a college or a university, each one of them will get full funding for their higher education. It will be the choice of parents if they want to pay. But if parents don't want to pay, we now have a model that will pay for every child.
The new vision seeks to catapult Kenya into a first world economy by the year 2060 through investment in strategic sectors.
This great country of ours can become a first world country in our generation. It is doable. Play your part.
President Ruto has urged Kenyans to embrace the proposed vision, saying national progress will depend on collective commitment and confidence in the country's potential.
The next chapter of Kenya's development cannot be written by government. It must be shaped by the collective wisdom, experience, and participation of the Kenyan people.
Well, that was on Tuesday at State House when President William Ruto received that detailed blueprint or roadmap on how to develop Kenya's next socio-economic development blueprint, or what a lot of people are calling the Vision 2060. Bearing in mind that the Vision 2030, which was developed back in the year 2008, is approaching the end of its life in about 3 years from now. And one of the architects of that document is here with me. That is none other than Professor Michael Chege. He was there during the drafting of the Vision 2030 back in the year 2007. And he's also being involved in the drafting of Kenya's next long-term vision. I don't know whether to call it Vision 2055, Vision 2060, or Vision whatever. That will be decided at some point. He's joining us right here on Inside Government. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us. My name is O'Brien Kimani. You know this is Inside Government and we are live from Broadcasting House. Professor, thank you very much indeed and we are honored to have you.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Yes. Theomithis, you were heavily involved in the drafting of the Vision 2030 back in the year 2007, 2008. And that was during President Mwai Kibaki's the late administration. What was the vision behind the vision?
Well, the vision behind the vision at that time was this. The economy had literally ground down to a halt by 2002 negative GDP growth per capita. Kenyans became disillusioned, and that's why they voted for NAC. And the idea was you have to have inspiration. Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, who led the committee and the task force that I was involved in, that reported to the president last week, was then Minister of Planning, and he worked with a team of experts to prepare a recovery program, which we call ARS, Economic Recovery Program for Kenya. From 2002 to 2008, you saw economic recovery, and GDP growth rising from 3% to 3 to 7, 8% in 2007. A record. Economic recovery achieved. Then the question is, what do we go to next? And it was decided by international advisors, by the government itself, by President Mwai Kibaki, by the cabinet, by Kenyans in business and in trades and in professions, all-round consultation, that we should aim at being a middle-income, rapidly industrializing country alongside the Southeast Asian model by the year 2030. So that is what motivated the optimism of 2007, 2008. That is what motivated the production of Vision 2030 as a development blueprint.
I mean, at that time, there was a realization that haphazard development, was not going to deliver this nation into a first world or into a highly a developing country with high incomes. And so that's why there was a call that we need to come up with a well-structured, well-defined socio-economic development document. And that's how Vision 2030 was born. How many years later? Almost 20 years later. When you look at the journey that we have covered with Vision 2030, do you see it pretty? Do you feel that we have done okay?
It's mixed. It's a very mixed record. In some ways, and Kenyans don't say that very often, the country has done exceedingly well. If you look at an indicator called the Human Development Index, which is constituted by the United Nations Development Program, which looks at the human development as a whole. It's not just incomes and housing and access to electricity or those material side, but also welfare, health, and education. Kenya has made a dramatic jump to high middle human development index because our education literacy levels are among the highest in the developing world now. Even longevity, despite COVID and despite HIV, still the achievements have been quite high, and income levels have grown. That is looking at human development as a whole. So, but if you look at industrialization, which we pledge ourselves to be a middle-income, rapidly industrializing country, you think about Indonesia, Singapore in the 60s, 70s, and you think of Malaysia and Thailand, we're not there. We have not achieved the strides in manufacturing and industrialization that we envisioned. And this was supposed to be the real gateway to resolving the problems of youth unemployment. We're getting close to 1 million young people out of our schools every year. Only 20% of them can get a job in the formal sector.
The rest, they find employment in the informal sector.
In the informal sector or not. That creates a very dangerous situation because the discontent that you saw with the case of the Gen Zs on the street is what you're saying, that you have a promise that was made to us by the country. We got the education that Kenya promised to us, but we are in a hopeless situation.
You're talking about the HDI development in Kenya, and it is true, even when you look at the per capita income, there has been marked difference. And we know that Vision 2030 was pegged on, were they 7 or 5 pillars?
There are 3 pillars, political, economic, and social. But in addition to that, there were flagship projects. One of those was the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
The development of the Greenfield Terminal.
Greenfield Terminal.
Unfortunately, it was the development of that was cancelled in 2016.
Yes. The Konza Technopolis,
which is still under development.
The question of availability
the
of
Lapset corridor as well.
Lapset corridor,
The standard gauge railway.
Standard gauge railway, we're talking about electricity, electricity available at economically advantageous by business, by manufacturing to facilitate the kind of manufacturing we're talking about. And we're talking about urban planning. You can see Nairobi today and the chaotic manner in which it is growing.
Yeah.
Traffic, no public transport yet, whereas our neighbors have made, you look at Rwanda or Tanzania, tremendous progress in moving towards that direction, even Addis Ababa. Those are issues. We seem to have dropped the ball somewhere along the line in some areas.
When do you feel that, which year do you believe that we dropped the ball?
Well, first of all, if you look at what happened after 2007, 2008 coming on this way, having pledged ourselves to 7 to 10% GDP growth rate, we failed consistently, with the exception of a few years like 2010 or even 2022, and that was after COVID. That can be explained that way. The fact is, we never went anywhere close to the goals of GDP overall growth. If you want to get where the Asian countries, where China, which you're talking about, is, you have to make sure that you're doing over 70% consistently over 30 years.
10%.
10%.
Or 7%,
average,
you say? On average of 7% for 30 years.
Minimum 7%.
And our average has been about 5%?
5% since 2008.
So we've been failing with about 2 basis points every year.
Every year, missing the target.
Missing the target.
And what happens is that if you do 7%, you double GDP growth every 10 years.
You double the GDP?
Yes. And if you do it in the next 20 years from now, it means to be quadruple. By the year 30, it will be quadruple times, it will be like 8 times the size of what it is now. That's basically stated in simple statistical terms what China did.
A quick one. When you look at the size of the Kenyan economy back in the year 2008, when we were launching Vision 2030, and you look at the size of the Kenyan GDP today, do we have any difference? Have we grown? Have we retarded?
Definitely, O'Brien.
Have we doubled?
5% is not to be laughed at. It's there. It's not stellar, but it could be worse. It could be where we were in the 1990s.
Negative growth.
Yeah. Negative per capita GDP. So we have been having a population growth of 3%, GDP growth of 5% average. So we're moving in the right direction, but rather slowly and missing the target consistently. That is where the failing is.
Missing the targets.
Consistently. For nearly 2 decades now. And that is one of the most discouraging things about development planning in this country, and about what the governments have done to respond to it. Because there are important projects and programs that were envisioned in 2030, Vision 2030, that simply weren't implemented.
For example?
Well, the Greenfield Terminal in the JKIA is one.
And that's why we're having a challenge with the JKIA today.
Yes, and also the problem Kenya Airways, whether it's KQ should run the airport or KPA. So the issues like that. And then the Konza Technopolis. We had a head start in the putting up the Silicon Savannah. We are only now again coming around to it now. You realize that you lost something like 20 years. Other countries have moved and taken what we had planned for Kenya and done it themselves. If you talked about the airport, I was talking about Bishoftu, which is 60 miles south of Addis Ababa.
In Ethiopia.
Bole, as it is now one of the biggest airport hubs in sub-Saharan Africa. The airport they're constructing at Bishoftu, $12 billion, will be the largest airport in Africa when it's completed. And the constructors are already in place.
And they are moving very fast.
Moving fast, and it's not just a hub for international air transport. It's also a city
on its own,
because the people are coming in and out, and also a tourism center, because they're, by the way, they're close to the Rift Valley and to wildlife there too. They're taking that advantage, learning from us, because we're talking about that possibility.
And this is a brand new airport away from Bole International Airport.
Complete, 60 miles.
And today, Bole is much bigger than Nairobi, than Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. In terms of passenger capacity.
Passenger throughput, yes.
Even terminal development.
And terminal development, and if you look at the fleet of Ethiopian Airways, and compare,
you don't want to talk about that.
And they're adding on to that. As a result of that, I was saying, Boeing, which is in Seattle, have selected Ethiopia and Addis Ababa to be the center and the hub of the operations in Middle East and Africa, not just in service, but also in spare parts, training, and the beginning of manufacturing. That's how these things get done. And they're working hand in hand with the Ethiopian Airlines. As it expands, so does Boeing. 20 years ago to 30 years ago, Nairobi would have been the absolute first choice for this sort of operations. Mm-hmm. So we are seeing a situation in which the international architecture of development is changing, of foreign investment, of operators, and even in the region. The countries that used to look up to Kenya with error, because they're not there, are doing things we failed to do and getting ahead of us.
It's quite a sad situation, that we had a head start. And when and I like the fact that you're talking a lot about Ethiopia, because everyone is talking about Ethiopia and what they have managed to do in the last 8-7 years. And you see the transformation is real, is tangible in Addis Ababa. From new road, sewer system, proper lighting system, light rail system, that's moving thousands of people every day. And when you look at Nairobi, Nairobi had a head start, bearing in mind that it is the only city in the South Pole with a UN headquarters here in Gigiri, about 15 kilometers from where we are.
That's right.
But even when you look at infrastructure getting to that place, it's terrible.
It is.
Addis Ababa is taking the crown from Nairobi as the Africa's diplomatic hub as we watch.
Yeah.
Addis Ababa is taking the crown from Nairobi as the aviation hub in Africa. But is there anything we can do to retain and maintain our position here in Africa?
There are some things which I think people in Kenya need to know, and that is, don't hype and forget the areas in which Kenya is still ahead. Put that category on one side, then look at areas where we are lagging and where we would like to be overtaken. Per capita GDP of Kenya is $2,500 about.
Yeah.
That of Ethiopia is 1,000. So they still got a lot of catching up to do.
That is per capita GDP.
Yeah, per capita GDP.
Because their population is almost 120 million people.
Yeah, compared to us. So they're still poorer compared to us. Ditto, when you look at those human development indicators that I was telling you about. And Kenyans ought to be proud of the fact that they've achieved as much as they have. We have put in a lot of investment in this country since independence into education. Education more than any other sector is what has taken our public funds into.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. Areas in which Kenya will lag behind and risk being caught, urban planning, like you've just said, the capital city of this country is a shambles, is shambolic. Actually, if you consider when BBI was being advocated, one of the clauses was to bring the capital city back to the national government in the way that Washington D.C. is not under any state. It's a federal capital. And there's Brasilia in Brazil. This is what we had in mind, but BBI fell out and the idea has not. But in the meantime, what is happening is that the city is growing very fast, population-wise. And it's shambolic. And what happens in City Hall in this country is scandalous in terms of it generating an internal capacity to manage the city, to make and host international institutions and be a competitor with international institutions and cities of its size. And that needs to be done. It was there in Vision 2030. Remember, there was Nairobi Metropolitan Authority. And it was to take Nairobi and the surrounding counties, because the population grows in sync. And people move from one part of the city to the other to go to work, for relaxation, housing, etc. The plans were there. They were abandoned again. And that's an issue that we have to look into. And we're saying that because, as was said on Tuesday morning, Kenya will be 50% urban in 2050.
And 2050 is 23 years from now.
And we're mostly young people. And again, can you afford to have cities like this?
And the answer is no.
With no planning and without sources of livelihoods and without proper planning so that people can get jobs of the kind and quality they want. This is something that we really have to, no. And this is the last chance, because by 2050, going on to 2060, Kenya's population will begin to age. There will be more older people and fewer younger people.
You're likely to get to where Japan is today.
Yeah, to begin to get where Japan is.
The median age is likely to be 50.
Exactly. Getting close to that, maybe 45, but that's moving. You can imagine, you can't have that in a situation where everything is informalized. Everything is being done on the street, where there's no proper planning of anything, and where you can actually drive like the borders in Kenya, anywhere you want, anyhow you want, anywhere you want, any way you want, anyhow you want, and get away with it.
You see, we are seated here and we're discussing Kenya's long-term economic development, and I must appreciate the fact that you're very passionate about this topic.
Yeah.
And when you look at the policies that we have in place, the caliber of our political class, are we architectured in a way that we can get to where you're describing?
I think we still can move in the right direction if we start with what the president has stated. And you have to take him at his word, because he said no. For the long-term prospects of this country, whether it is this government or another one that is going to come in place, whatever, in future, the issue is going to be the same. So let us start working on it now. And this country has a history of picking up programs and plans and moving very fast and very quickly. Look at M-Pesa, for example.
Yeah.
See? And even if you look at what happened in the 60s, tourism was not a critical sector of this country, right? Safaris and safari culture were known. But taking tourism as a part of the service sector to drive the economy, generate jobs, foreign income and all of that, that is prior 60s coming out of it. You mentioned about the UN headquarters and international conferencing and business processes offshoring in here. These are things that were started here and they work for. I believe that if we work together, national government, counter governments, thinkers in government and out of government, because there are Kenyans with very good ideas all over the place. You have to put this in sync and see how it moves ahead in harmony. This is what Southeast Asian countries did more than anything else, planning and being faithful to your plans. Every 5 years, you make sure that you assess where you are and see how close you got to your goals. And if you didn't, then what happened? And you begin that by looking at the 7%, 10% growth rate level every quarter and ask yourself, why did it happen? Here in this country, when the Minister for Cabinet Secretary for Treasury Planning presents the economic survey every May and says we missed the target or we did 4.5%, It's just an item in the news. Nobody asked. We are intending, for the purposes of giving young people in this country jobs and a proper expectations of livelihood, we missed the target. Who is responsible? Why did we drop the ball? We have to be better at putting forward questions like that.
We have normalized failing to meet our goals, and nobody is held responsible.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity now to get up and dust ourselves and embark on what I would call a speed marathon.
That's correct.
And the president last year in December gave you, yourself as Professor Michael Chege, Professor Wanyande, Karuti Kanyinga,
and Professor Anyang' Nyong'o as chair.
Professor Anyang' Nyong'o as the chair.
Yeah.
He gave you a very onerous task, a big assignment of reimagining Kenya in the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, that's correct.
And coming up with a framework that is going to help us develop a new vision, because Vision 2030 is retiring in the next 3 years. And I must applaud ourselves because, yes, we have realized the vision is elapsing and we need a new vision. How has it been? And when you presented that document to the president, what is contained in that document?
Well, what he asked for was, please give us a guide onto how we prepare a long-term plan that overcomes the handicaps of the past and gives us, as you said, a head start in this marathon, so that when we start here, we wind up being a modern, high-income industrial country like the first world countries of today. That was simply the mandate, and that is what that document contains. Therefore says, here is where we pledged ourselves to be in 2008. Here is where we are. Here is what we need to do. Here is what went wrong. And here is what you need to do to change the situation. And then you stipulate on the basis of our own experience in Kenya, because there have been phases in which we have actually done pretty well. If you look at GDP growth in Kenya and human development indicators from 64 to about 80, they were every bit as good as those of our Southeast Asian comparators. If you look at what happened between 2003 to 2008, again the same. We go up, down. That is a tragedy, instead of upwards consistently for 30 years.
Yeah.
So, and also it points out in that document the key sectors that you ought to focus on. And in particular, it focuses on problems of institutional efficacy, decency, integrity. Integrity, sort of corruption is part of integrity and fortitude and the capacity to deliver what is promised in the public sector, but also the private sector. Foreign investment in huge amounts, because people in Kenya have learned to forget, unfortunately, that development, when it works best, is private sector investment driven.
Yeah.
Including foreign investment income, because those factories, those businesses will generate the jobs our young people want, and that is what they're asking for.
I haven't managed to go through the entire document, but I know it is modeled along on three key pillars.
Yes.
One of them is agriculture. The other one is innovation.
Innovation, technology. Yeah.
And technology. And the other one is political.
Yeah, political reform.
Political
and institutional reform.
I want you to take 2 minutes and take us through what you aspire in the three pillars.
The first one, without any doubt, was the political commitment of political leaders, regardless of party. That you're going to be consistent on this path for the period of 30 years. If you don't, we have a Holocaust. We have hell at the other end. That's what countries like Taiwan and South Korea and so on,
Koreas of these
that
world.
consistency across the electoral cycles has to be maintained. So when you talk about political commitment, that's one. The other one is the institutions that perform the way they serve in the public service, the way they perform. Lee Kuan Yew, and you're talking about Singapore a lot, said the most important aspect of Singapore Miracle was the efficiency and lack of corruption in public service, so that it delivers. Public service jobs in Singapore earn you a better salary than the private sector, but they're damn competitive to get into. You have to be exceedingly good by international standards to get that job.
You must pick the best.
And you must be evaluated at the end of the year by your output. If it's good, you get a bonus, the same way people in the banking sector do if the stock appreciates in the course of the year. So we're talking about
and that's the reason why the government developed performance appraisals.
And which have been abandoned. In Kenya, your staff appraisals in Kibaki years, early years. So we need to go back to that, as well as recruitment. On merit, get the very best. If you have to get them out of Kenya, so much the better. But get the best people for the job so that it gets done. There's a lot of work that is done in this country by people who are not qualified to be doing it. So I think if you look at that document, that is being given more prominence at the top than any other.
The president is very committed about
very
that.
Committed. And then, of course, there's a question of security and rights. We have a constitution, and it's been praised rightly. And it is part of that commitment to make sure institutional effectiveness is. Then agriculture. Agriculture in every one of those countries, and rapid growth in agriculture is always a starting point. Agriculture provides you with food, at low and affordable cost, and also sources of raw materials that are being processed by industries. And it's important, by the way, because as agricultural productivity goes up, you need fewer people on the land. That is the beginning of movement to the cities, to industries, and in housing, for planning, like you said, seeing now in Ethiopia, and also manufacturing, which they're also trying to do out there. And we also tried here in EPZs, but again, that's one of the projects we abandoned. How can we abandon EPZs? We have the US market as it is under AGOA, and it's not just textiles. Why aren't we doing furniture? Why can't we do assembly of medical equipment and all these other things which are...
There are more than 100 products that we can export
under AGOA.
Under AGOA. I think we're doing about 10.
Yeah, and very similar project. In 2024, we signed with the EU a partnership agreement which opens that market to anything but harms. Quota-free, duty-free. Vietnam, which pays duties to get into that market, is doing 20, 30 times.
The size of
Ask ourselves why it is that they're able to do that and see what lessons we can learn from that. And the same thing with China, because it is duty-free access that has been given to African countries.
Prof, before we call it an afternoon, I want to hear from you. At the end of it all, because I know this document, the guidelines that you developed, are going to be subjected to what we call stakeholders engagement. Briefly, I want to hear from you. At the end of it all, what do you want to see contained in the final draft?
Well, what will be contained in the final draft, and this is what the President Ruto is saying, will be a collective resolve of all Kenyans, regardless of party, regardless where they are, that will say we as Kenyans are not in the business of quitting, whether it is a marathon abroad or even growth in the past. And we want to resume the path of rapid growth that delivers to the needs of ordinary Kenyans for once. And we do not want to be looking across our borders for best examples. We want to go back to where we are at the lead, and not just at the lead, but to where by 2060, we'll be looking at a Kenya which nobody can recognize, because it will be a country of first world or close to first world standards for most of its ordinary Kenyans. That is what we want to look at the bottom, look at the ordinary Kenyans, look at the welfare. That is the target. That is who we are aiming this plan to be.
And of course, it's good to remind people that 2060 is about 33 years from now.
That's right.
It's not very far.
No.
A kid that is born today will be 33 years in 2060. Is there anything else you would want to tell us?
One thing that you have to look at, and Kenyans don't seem to realize this very well, is that with the population growth rate of the kind we've been having, total fertility rates declining, getting close to 3 or thereabouts. By 2050, Kenya will begin the process of aging, where the preponderant amount of the population is towards the older age. We cannot have a population that is beginning the aging process in 2050 with informal sector-driven employment, with the kind of disorganized urbanization that you're seeing at the moment. That will not be a country anybody wants to aspire to. We have to make some very hard and difficult decisions today. And as you say, some of our neighboring countries, people go to, too many Kenyan leaders go to Rwanda or to Singapore or Malaysia and so on. All that information is available online. All that information is available in our libraries. And we are graduating students in the University of Nairobi and elsewhere who know the solutions. The issue is to get down and do it right, and not to repeat the past mistakes.
And we have to do it.
Yep.
Well, Prof, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Brian.
And Kenyans have listened to you.
Yeah.
And let's do it.
We'll do it.
Very good. And thank you for your passion.
Thank you.
To making this Kenya great.
Thank you, sure.
Very good. I mean, Professor Michael Chege is an economic development lecturer at the University of Nairobi. He's also a member of a task force formed by the president last year to develop guidelines on how to craft a new socioeconomic development for Kenya, a document that is going to outlast Vision 2030, which is just about 3 years from now before it elapses. You know, the whole point is this. This country will not be developed by politicians. This country will not be developed by the public service or the private sector. This country will be developed by all of us, regardless of which party you support, regardless of your political or religious viewpoint. It will take all of us, dedicated, disciplined, and focused, because at the end of it all, this is our only home. You have been watching Inside Government. We're coming to the end of this conversation this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed for your time. We do this again next Friday, same time, right here on KBC Channel 1 with me, O'Brien Kimani. Thank you and have a good afternoon.
Kidnapiwa ama alikuwa starehe.
I want my wife paka. I want my wife paka. I want my wife paka.
Walikuwa wamekeana 50,000. Spain akishinda mimi atambatia wewe. Argentina akishindwa wewe atambatia. Kumbe vile ilienda hii mtu mmoja hakuwa na hiyo uwezo ya kutoa hiyo 50,000.
Huyu jamaa ambaye alikuwa anashabikia Argentina.
Ndio. Sasa si mimi nikawekelewa.
Ati?
Si nikambetwa mimi sasa nikakuwa mbetwa.
Hata ubetwa nini?
Messi ni mifira alichipulicha kakua namna hiyo mheshimiwa. Ni kasi ni yangu ya hapa Kakamega mheshimiwa. Kasi ni yangu hata ukiangalia mapua utaona ni kitu moja.
Sasa ulikuwa umempigia?
Na akasema itatsa nini? Hiyo ni sure page.
Kituo unachokienzi cha KBC Radio Taifa kitakuletea tamasha kubwa la Rumba Night mjini Kakamega katika klabu ya Havana Lounge. Kikosi kizima cha KBC Radio Taifa kikiongozwa na Mfumo Kimbangu aka Mzairwa kitatua Kakamega kukutana na kusherehekea pamoja na wasikilizaji wake. Hafla hii itang'oa nanga Ijumaa tarehe 24 na Zinga Live pale Hetias Supermarket Kakamega kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Kisha tuelekee Emusala Special School eneo bunge la Lurambi na Malava Special Unit eneo bunge la Malava. Baadaye mida ya jioni tutajumuika Havana Lounge kwa tamasha la Rumba Night. Jumamosi tarehe 25 tutakuwa kwenye tamasha la Ramani ya Kiswahili pamoja na mwalimu Mathias Momanyi katika shule ya upili ya wasichana ya Butere. Jiunge nasi tutengeneze kumbukumbu pamoja na Radio Taifa, sauti ya Mkenya. Kukosa ni makosa.
Sukari, nakwambia kweli sisiri, ningekuwa mimi tajiri, ningekununulia gari.
The mood outside the 11th Hour Ocean Conference in Mombasa was unmistakably celebratory. Traditional dancers and calm delegates. Ministers posed for photographs against a backdrop of ocean blue.
While commitments worth billions of dollars were announced to protect the world seas. For 3 days, Mombasa became the global capital of ocean conservation. But behind the applause and colorful displays, a different story was unfolding inside the conference halls. As delegates moved from one plenary room to another, report after report explored the challenges facing Africa's coastal communities. The document painted a troubling picture. A picture of declining fish catches, a picture of hidden ownership structures that make it difficult to identify who profits from African waters, and a picture of illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, known simply as IUU fishing, continuing to undermine livelihoods across the continent.
Domestically, Kenya has established blue economy implementation frameworks, adopted integrated coastal zone management, and strengthened its response to illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing.
At the center of the debate were the voices of small-scale fishers. Men and women from coastal communities spoke of shrinking catches, rising competition from industrial fleets, and destructive trolling practices that they say are leaving traditional fishing grounds depleted. For many, the issue is no longer just conservation, it is survival.
Trolling lazima itaniadhiri kwa sababu mimi ni mvuvi mdogo. Tuseme mvuvi mdogo ni kama mwenye amekaa chini ya mwembe anasubiria embe ianguke. Na kuna yule mwingine yeye anapanda juu, anaenda kuzipata hizo maembe juu. Sasa mimi mwenye nangoja hapa chini nitapata ile ya bahati, sitapata ile yenye inahitajika nipate. Kwa sababu yule mwenye anazifuata kule juu anachagua ama anaweza kuchukua zote mbivu na mbichi akabeba. Na hata zile grade nzuri pia bado atabeba yeye.
The complaints are familiar. Boats are going out longer and returning with less. Local operators are forced to watch larger vessels take over to sustain entire communities. In these villages, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing is not an abstract policy term. Somewhere off the Kenyan coast tonight, foreign trawlers are working waters that local fishers can no longer reach. Who actually owns these vessels, who profits when the nets come up, and who answers when the lure is broken, is in most cases hidden. when foreign industrial vessels operating under hidden ownership take a disproportionate share of the catch, or fish inside zones reserved for small-scale and artisanal fishers, the shortage doesn't just hit the men who go out in their boats. It hits the women's thoughts at the landing site the next morning, where there is simply less to sort, smoke, and fill.
Mimi nimeshuhudia uchungu ya wale wavuvi, nimeishuhudia kwa macho na pia nimeexperience mimi mwenyewe. Sasa ukiangalia pale kwa familia za wavuvi, akina wanawake, watapata nini kama trola inaenda na kila kitu? Na hiyo ndio tegemeo lao. Wao hawana biashara, hawana kampuni, hawana kazi za ofisi, pale hakuna industry, hakuna shopping center, mtu ataenda kuajiriwa mahali. Waona? Sasa ile tegemeo lao kubwa sana zaidi ni ile bahari na rasilimali ya bahari, samaki, iwe yani yoyote ile watawata kwa bahari. Lakini kama itakuwa kila kitu inafagiliwa na mtu wa nje, unaona mambo inabadilika, inakuwa tofauti.
Dr. Christine Kentai spoke to the need for women's voices to be amplified within fisheries policy and governance, not just fisheries labour.
She outlined the specific challenges women face as participants in the fishing ecosystem, from exclusion in decision-making spaces to the informal and protected nature of processing and trading work.
Two of the real key challenges is firstly that even though women have a really important role to play in fisheries, fishing happens at sea and often it's mostly men, but women are involved again, that can't take place without the women who hold up the infrastructure, who before fishing and after fishing, they process the fish, they trade the fish, and they take it to the households to nourish children. But the role of women is often overlooked, so we don't see their roles, and so we don't involve them in our policies and in our funding. The second related challenge that we talked about was women's voices are often missed in the decision-making circles, so they're not seen and they're not heard.
Global data from Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources underscores the gravity of this crisis. Women make up 56% of the global fish processing workforce.
In Africa, where fish accounts for 19% of total animal protein supply, underreported illegal fishing isn't just a marine issue, it is a direct threat to household nutrition and food security.
Every single illegal ton stolen by an intrusive boat trawler is a ton stripped from a Kenyan family's plate.
The fourth message of Sophia is that aquatic production is not only crucial for food security and nutrition, but also for livelihood provision, trade, and sustainable development. The sector globally employs directly more than 65 million people. These are directly people that go to sea or that farm directly with their hands the products. The large majority of these are in small-scale fisheries. But if we add those that are involved in the full value chain of aquatic production and its dependence, we estimate that 600 million people around the world depend on the sector for their livelihoods.
Experts told delegates that much of the problem lies beyond what can be seen on the water.
We don't have economic valuation of our resources. So we are looking forward to see if we can have an economic valuation of the ocean to know what the value of the resources we have in the ocean.
According to research presented at the conference, industrial fishing vessels frequently operate through complex ownership structures that hide the individuals and companies benefiting from Africa's marine resources. The reports warn that these opaque arrangements create opportunities for illegal fishing activities to flourish while making accountability difficult.
Overfishing is a problem because we can't always see who's fishing on our waters. So across Africa, we know we have a large number of illegal, unregulated, and foreign fishing activities that contribute to the pressure on our fish stocks. I expect some real commitments from governments across the world on tackling the issues of transparency at sea that help us address overfishing, in protecting more marine habitats to try and build resilience against the impact of climate change. And I really hope that there will be a greater role for the small-scale fishing communities in decision-making roles, so they can be part of developing the solutions that affect them most. And so coordination across nations, but also coordination within nations across all the actors, leveling the playing field so all actors have an equal say.
At this year's Our Ocean Conference, 16 countries adopted what's been called the Mombasa Declaration, committing to improve access to information on vessel ownership, tracking, fishing activity, and supply chains.
The EU pledged yesterday over 338 million euro for the ocean because we believe in international cooperation and investing in our ocean to protect it from climate change and pollution, illegal, unregulated and unreported fishing, and security threats.
At the conference, the governments of Kenya, Seychelles, Gabon, Tanzania, and South Africa unveiled a set of counter-led commitments to advance electronic monitoring on both video cameras, GPS, and sensors that track and verify what vessels are actually doing at sea. Each country is at a different stage, from piloting systems to binding national commitments, but together they signal clear regional shifts toward fisheries management that runs on data, not just paperwork.
The United Republic of Tanzania fully supports the 6 interconnected thematic priorities of this conference.
We must intensify the fight against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, a practice that robs coastal communities of billions of dollars, a practice that undermines honest fishermen, and that threatens food security around the world.
The government of Seychelles is joining the Tuna Transparency Pledge, committing to 100% in the water monitoring across all its industrial tuna vessels by 2027. Kenya's conference host has committed to 100% monitoring of all industrial fishing vessels in its waters through electronic monitoring and onboard observers by 2030.
We have invested another 3 billion shillings to a maritime center that will be used for information gathering and research that is going to assist our fisheries and blue economy ecosystems.
Kate Walsh, the ocean ambassador, spoke broadly to ocean and marine protection, drawing the line between healthy fish stocks and healthy coastal communities, making the case for eradicating destructive trawling practices specifically, framing it not as an abstract environmental position but as something tied directly to the futures of the small-scale fishers.
It's critical for local communities to get involved and take action, but also the support of other outside organizations like Oceana to help come in and protect and provide support. And really we're here to let the world know how important it is, how important Africa is, how important these coasts are to protect. From trawling, from drilling, from seismic testing, from mining, from all the things.
A flag on a hull tells you nothing, but public transparency tells you everything.
Let the measure of this conference not be what we pledged on the shore, but what we deliver in the waters.
The celebrations outside the conference hall have concluded. But the women and men of Africa's shores are still waiting to see if the promises made inside will finally protect their livelihoods or leave them with an empty ocean.
It's indeed a course set with bountiful opportunities for tangible collaboration and headway. But the tide waits for no one, so all aboard for the voyage ahead. May we stay true to our course, and along the way may we have fair winds and following seas.
One day, while teaching an oral healthcare class, I saw a little boy who kept covering his mouth. It turns out he had lost some of his teeth and felt embarrassed. But as a hygienist, a child's smile means everything to me. That's why Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection unlocks 24-hour cavity defense. A formula boosted with calcium for lifelong smiles. Every child has the right to smile, and a beautiful smile is a healthy smile.
Colgate, #1 oral care brand in the world.
Marhaban bikum, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ndugu mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1, karibu katika kipindi chako unachokipenda, kipindi cha ukumbi wa Kiislamu, ukiwa nami Ali Sheikh. Ndani ya kipindi hichi mtazamaji, tunakuelimisha, tunakuburudisha, tunakukumbusha na pia tunaongozana sote katika njia iliyonyoka. Mtazamaji, kipindi hichi kitakuwa na sehemu ya darsa kutoka kwa shekhe, tutakuwa na sehemu ya nashid, ipo sehemu ya tarikhul Islam, na pia kipo kisomo cha Qur'an na hadithi kutoka kwa wanafunzi wa madrasa. Basi na kupoteza wakati mtazamaji, wiki hii katika sehemu ya mashekhe tunaye Sheikh Bwana akituelezea kuhusu kumtaja Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala na madhara ama shida inayopatikana na kukosa kufanya hivyo. Je, shida iko wapi ama utapatana na madhara gani ukikosa kumtaja Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد سيد الأولين والآخرين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. تمشكر الله سبحانه وتعالى kwa neema zake tofauti tofauti, neema kubwa ikiwa ni neema ya Uislamu. Pia tumshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala kwa fursa ambayo kwamba tumeipata kwa mara nyingine, ili tuweze kujitengeza sisi wenyewe, kujikumbusha sisi wenyewe wazungumzaji, na pia kuwakumbusha ndugu wanao tusikiliza na kututazama. Hakika kumkumbuka Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, kumtaja Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala ni katika mambo muhimu sana katika maisha yetu ya hapa duniani. Na aya ambayo kwamba tutaizungumzia katika masala ya kumkumbuka Allah na kumtaja Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala na balaa zake tusipofanya hivyo, ni pale Mwenyezi Mungu aliposema waman a'rada an dhikri fa inna lahu ma'ishatan dhanka wa nahshuruhu yawma alqiyamati a'ma qala rabbi lima hashartani a'ma wa qad kuntu basira qala kadhalika atatka ayatuna fanasitaha wa kadhalika alyawma tunsa. Hakika mwenye kupa mgongo dhikri yangu, utajo wangu, kunikumbuka kwangu, fa inna lahu ma'ishatan dhanka, hakika mtu kama huyu atakuwa na maisha ya panda shuka. Hii ni lugha ile ya haraka haraka, lakini neno lenyewe lina maana panufu sana. Wa nahshuruhu yawma alqiyamati ama, mtu kama huyu tutamfufua akiwa ni kipofu, naye aseme, alalamike, qala rabbi lima hashartani ama, ewe Mola wangu mbona umenifufua mimi kipofu, wakati kuntu basira, na ilhali mimi nilikuwa na macho yangu ulimwenguni. Qala kadhalika, Mwenyezi Mungu amwambie vile vile, atatka ayatuna, hakika tulikusukumia aya zetu, fanasitaha, na ukazisahau. Ulikuwa na utajo wetu, ulikuwa na dhikri zetu, na wewe ukazisahau. Wa kadhalika alyawma tunsa, hivyo hivyo na wewe leo tunakusahau. Lakini tukija katika maelezo kwamba hii aya haikuanza hapa ndugu zanguni, bali hii aya ina maelezo ya nyuma. Kumsahau ama kusahau dhikrullah na kumsahau Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, huwa kuna zile daraja ama points ambazo kwamba zinaanza nyuma kabla hujafikia kuja kumtupa Mola wako na ukamsahau kabisa kabisa. Sisi tunajua mara nyingi kusahau, mara nyingi shetani anacheza pati kubwa sana. Shetani katika kumsahaulisha mwanadamu na pia kumtia waswasi na kujaribu kumsukuma hapa na pale. Hii nafasi shetani alichukua kitambo sana. Alipomwambia Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, andhirni ya Rabbi, nipatie na mimi muda niwekeweke mpaka siku ile ambayo kwamba ni ya malipo. Pindi alipokuwa tayari amelaaniwa na Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kukataa kufuata maagizo ya Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Mwenyezi Mungu akawa tayari ashampatia laana, na yeye akaomba muda, ili manake muda kama huu awe atakuwa na binadamu. Manake aliomba wazi wazi kitorobe kabisa, ya Allah andhirni, anamwomba Allah. Mwenyezi Mungu akamwambia fa innaka minal mundharin, hakika wewe tayari ushakubaliwa hiyo request yako, ni katika wale ambao kwamba tutakuweka mpaka siku hiyo. Akamwambia Allah, na mimi nitahakikisha nimewapoteza hawa watu, yani kanyaga kisawasawa, nimewasahaulisha, nimejaribu kuwachezesha huku na huku mpaka wawe hawatakuwa na nafasi ya kuangalia wewe. Mwenyezi Mungu akamwambia sawa, hilo sisi hatuna wasiwasi nalo kwa sababu tunajua, lakini ambao utawaweza ni wale ambao kwamba wao upepo ukipiga tayari wanaanguka. Ama wale ambao kwamba ni waja wangu kisawasawa, wale hawatingishiki hata kidogo kabisa. Ndio akamwambia illa ibadaka minhumul mukhlasin, mimi wale ambao kwamba shetani anamwambia wale ambao kwamba watakuwa wao nikifanya hivi tu ufagio wao wananifuata mimi, hao sitaubakisha. Lakini wale ambao kwamba watakuwa strong kwako wewe, hao najua wao watakuwa hawawezi kutingishika na hawataweza kupotezwa wala kusahaulishwa na huyu shetani. Hii aya imeenda wakati Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala anasema ya kwamba kuambia Adam na Hawa, ihbitwa minha jamian, walipokuwa wamekula ile tunda baada ya kudanganywa na shetani, wakaambia haya sasa nyinyi shukeni kabisa, jamian nyote, ba'dhukum li ba'dhin aduun fa imma yatiyannakum minni huda famanittaba hudaya. Aya imeanza hapa. Hakika litakapokuja neno la uongofu kutoka kwangu mimi, na mtu akawa atakuwa ni mwenye kufuata ule uongofu wangu, basi mtu kama huyu fala yadhillu wala yashqa, hatakuwa ni mwenye kupotea kabisa, wala hatakuwa ni mwenye kufanya nini, kuwa na malalama ama kuwa na wasiwasi. Mtu kama huyu madamu atakuwa na neno langu na amefuata hidayah yangu, basi huyu mara nyingi hatakuwa ni mwenye kupotea kabisa. Kisha ndo Mwenyezi Mungu akaja na hii aya, mwenye kupa mgongo dhikri yangu, basi huyu hakika ana maisha ya dhiki. Kupa mgongo ni vipi? Ni kama leo watu wakawa mara nyingi swala wameiweka nyuma, ama kitabu chake Mwenyezi Mungu hakiangaliwi, ni season mpaka season, Ramadhani mpaka Ramadhani, Jumaa mpaka Jumaa, na hakadha wa halu majarra. Ikawa yani watu hawakipatii kitabu cha Allah nafasi inayostahili, watu hawapatii swala nafasi yake wakaiswali kwa time zake, watu wakawa yani wao hawana time ya kumtaja Allah, subhanallah walhamdulillah wala ilaha illa Allah wallahu akbar. Ikawa watu hawana nafasi na kumkumbuka Mola Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Wajua kumkumbuka Mola imeweka ni katika ibada kubwa sana, kwa manufaa yako wewe mwenyewe, wala si kwa manufaa ya Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, bali hii ilikuwa itakuwa ni manufaa ya mwanadamu na system yake ya maisha itamnyokea. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Mwenyezi Mungu asema kwa kumtaja Allah na kumkumbuka Allah roho zinatulia. Haya ni manufaa yako mwanadamu ama ni vipi? Bila shaka haya ni manufaa yako wewe. Wakati unapomtaja Allah wajitengeza wewe mwenyewe, watulia wewe mwenyewe, tatma'innul qulub, roho zinatulia. Sasa ukiangalia hii aya na uje ushikanishe na hapa, Mwenyezi Mungu anasema waman aradha an dhikri, hakika yule mwenye kupa mgongo utajo wangu na aya zangu na dhikri zangu, fa inna lahu ma'ishatan dhanka, huyu atakuwa na maisha ya dhiki. Maisha ya dhiki wanasema wale scholars wa ilmu ya jamii ni maisha ya wasiwasi. Kama hivi leo tunavyoona ulimwengu vile unavyokuwa, mtu akiinuka ana wasiwasi wa nyumbani, wasiwasi wake mwenyewe, wasiwasi wa utulivu wake, yani ni wasiwasi juu ya wasiwasi. Kazi hamna, na ikiwa kazi imo waona pia senti haziendi namna ambayo kwamba unazipanga, yani, na ikiwa zinaenda kwa namna ambayo kwamba unazipanga, zile senti huwa hazina baraka kama vile ambapo kwamba zatarajiwa zizae. Unapokea pesa sahihi, na saa hiyo hiyo pesa tayari ushalipa madeni, ushampatia huyu, ushamkopesha huyu, ukishtuka wewe huna kitu. Hii ama haya ndiyo maisha ya dhiki, yani kwamba yani wewe uko katika hali ambayo kwamba si ya kawaida, kama vile wenyewe wanavyosema maulama. Maisha tanvanka ni maisha ya kwamba yani wewe huko katika nini, masdar maanawi, yani ile hali ambayo kwamba inatakikana iwe, yani huko katika ukamilifu haswa, ukamilifu ule ambao kwamba utakuwa ni wewe kwamba yani umetulia, umemakinika, huna wasiwasi katika nafsi yako. Na zaidi maisha ya dhiki ni dhiki za kifua. Hapa ndipo pahali mara nyingi watu wanapokuwa wanaumia. Unaona? Kisha Mwenyezi Mungu asema wanahshuruhu yawmal qiyamati ama, baada kuwa yani wewe unatiwa maisha ya wasiwasi, na siku ya kiyama utafufuliwa ikiwa ni kipofu, kwa kuwa umepea mgongo dhikri. Yani wanasema kwamba yani hukuangalia, yani hukumtazama Allah, hukumkumbuka Allah, na ikiwa ulikuwa wamkumbuka ni kwa macho ya juu. Watu huja kuswali msikitini, lakini ukimuuliza mtu umesoma sura gani, ikawa hayuko kabisa, amesahajui amesoma nini. Ama amesujudu, ukimwambia vipi katika sida yako ilikuwa kuna vipi, mtu akawa hajui. Katika tahiyatu, mtu baada ya kusoma ile tahiyatu almubarakatu as-salawatu, mtu anasoma alhamdulillah rabbil alamin suratul Fatiha akiwa katika tahiyatu. Haya ndio mabalaa ambayo kwamba tuko nayo kwa wakati kama huu. Umeona zile dhiki ambazo kwamba ziko, yani hukuiangalia ibada ya Mwenyezi Mungu, utajo wa Allah kwa macho ya ndani. Ushona, balil insanu ala nafsihi basira. Ushona, inatakiwa utumie basira zaidi kuliko basar. Kutumia macho ya kawaida haya yani mara nyingi hayatakikani katika masala ya kimungu. Inatakikana mara nyingi kutumia basar iwe ni katika masala ya kidunia. Usiatie sana senti zisikutawali, kwa lugha ya sasa hivi. Zile senti ziangalie kwa macho open eyes, haya macho tunaita basar. Lakini masala ya kimungu tumia basira, macho ya ndani kabisa. Sasa Allah anasema wanahshuruhu yawmal qiyamati ama, na siku ile ya malipo tutamfufua akiwa nini? Akiwa ni kipofu. Wakati unalia katika hiyo aya, Mungu anasema qala rabbi lima hashatani ama, ewe Mola mbona unanifufua mimi kipofu wakati kuntu basira, na mimi nilikuwa na macho yangu nikiona kisawasawa. Mwanadamu anajitetea akisema ati alikuwa na macho yake ya kisawasawa ya ndani ya kuona ibada yake, ya kumuona Allah na utukufu wake. Amesahau kwamba yeye alikuwa hayaangalii mambo ya Allah kwa macho ya ndani, alikuwa anaangalia hivi basi nionekane msikitini, nionekane nafanya hili la kheri, nafanya hili, lakini kiundani hakuna. Tasadaka pia watu watakuonekane katika TV, lakini sio kwa Mungu. Unaona, hayo ndio macho ya nje. Uonekane katika TV live, jioni nimetoa milioni kadhaa, lakini kwa Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye ndio basira kule, ndio macho ya ndani, wewe hata huna haja nako. Unaona, Mwenyezi Mungu atamwambia mja kama huyu, kadhalika atatka ayatuna fanasita, vile vile tulikuletea aya zetu, dhikri yetu, kitabu chetu kitukufu, swala zetu, fanasita zote hizi ukazisahau. Wakadhalika alyawma tunsa, na vile vile sisi leo tunakusahau paruanja wazi kabisa. Kwa hivyo kumkumbuka Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ni very important, na kukumbuka shaair za Mwenyezi Mungu very important. Watu wa Mwenyezi Mungu, maulama, very important. Kuna watu leo wakiona makanzu, watu wa tablighi na mandevu, wanakuja jamaa wako kwenye mabaraza pale, wanapiga ulimwengu wao na dunia yao imepamba moto. Jamaa wakiona watu kama hawa wanatoroka, wengine wanapiga chenga. Watu wa Allah hawa ni katika changavu za Mwenyezi Mungu subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huku ni kukimbia dhikrullah, na kukimbia utaji wa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kuna watu zamani wanapoonekanwa, basi yanaonekana Mwenyezi Mungu hapo hapo. Hawa watu wa kheri, kwa nini uwakumbuke? Watu wenye kufikisha, watu wenye kuvuta waja wa Allah kwa ajili ya Allah, wewe unawatoroka. Na pia nikimalizia ni kwamba wale ambao kwamba Mwenyezi Mungu amewatajirisha, amewapatia ghina, wale wanafaa mara nyingi zaidi na zaidi wawe watakuwa wanamwangalia Mwenyezi Mungu, wasikubali kabisa kupelekwa na upepo wa utajiri wao, kwa sababu kwa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala khairun wa abqa, ndio bora na ndio kubakia kila kitu. Mpaka hapa inshallah. Mwenyezi Mungu atujalie min alladhina yastami'una alqawla fayattabi'una ahsana. Wassalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Mtazamaji, baada ya kukuletea darasa hiyo, ni matumaini yangu kwamba umejifunza na umejikumbusha kuhusiana na kumtaja Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kwa sasa tuingie katika upande wetu wa pili wa sehemu hii na tuweze kupata kile kinachoitwa tarikhul Islam, yani tarehe ama historia ya Kiislamu. Katika maisha kuna vitu vingi ambavyo watu tunavitamani na tunaviomba kuvipata, lakini tunakumbushwa kwamba tuombe hivi vitu viwe vina kheri kwetu sisi. Kisa kama hichi ambacho nitakieleza ni kisa cha Nabii Ibrahim, mtoto wake Ismail, mke wake Hajar, na kutokana na kupatikana kwa maji ya Zamzam. Ibrahim alikuwa akitamani sana kupata mtoto. Alimwomba Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amjalie mtoto wa kiume. Kuanzia bado alivyokuwa bado katika miaka yake ya 20, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alimpa mtoto akishafika uzeeni, mtoto aliyejulikana kama Ismail. Allah alimjalia Ibrahim na Hajar wakamzaa Ismail, na baada ya hapo Allah akamwamuru Ibrahim amchukue mke wake na mtoto wake awapeleke katika jangwa. Wakaenda mpaka wakafika katikati ya jangwa, ambapo kwa sasa sehemu hiyo ni Makka. Wakati huo Kaaba ilikuwa bado haijajengwa. Walipofika pale, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala akamwamuru Ibrahim amwache mke wake na mtoto wake pale. Ibrahim kujua kwamba hii ni amri ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, akainuka na kuondoka pasi na kumwambia mke wake kitu. Alijua wazi kwamba iwapo atamwelezea mke wake kwamba na kuacha hapa katika jangwa, basi mke yule atambembeleza, atamrai, na vile yeye anampenda mke wake, angeweza kuchukuliwa nyuma na yale maneno na akakashifu amri ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hivyo basi Ibrahim akaondoka pasi na kumwambia kitu. Namna alivyoenda, Hajar alikuwa akimuita, Ibrahim, unaniacha hapa na nani? Ibrahim, unaniacha hapa mimi na mtoto wako, unatuachia nani? Lakini Ibrahim hakujibu kitu. Hajar akajua kwamba hii ni amri ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hivyo basi akasema, Ibrahim, unatuacha hapa kwa amri ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Nabii Ibrahim akatikisa kichwa chake kumaanisha yeye, na akaondoka. Hajar akakaa pale na mtoto wake Ismail. Kiu ikamshika Ismail na njaa. Hakuwa na chakula, hakuwa na maji. Hivyo basi akaanza kuangalia namna ya kuweza kumtafutia mtoto wake kitu aweze angalau kutia ndani ya kinywa. Ismail alikuwa analia sana, na Hajar kama mzazi, jambo hili lilikuwa linamuuma. Hivyo basi akaanza kuzunguka katika jangwa lile kwenda kutafuta maji. Akawa anaenda baina ya milima miwili, mlima wa Safa na Marwa. Anaenda huku akirudi huku, kwa lengo la kuangalia iwapo atapata labda msafiri ambaye anasafiri katika jangwa lile awasaidie. Kidogo alikuwa anaenda akirudi, baada ya muda akaona hamuoni tena mtoto wake Ismail. Akawa na wasiwasi, akarudi kumtafuta Ismail. Akasikia sauti kwa mbali. Akienda kuangalia, ilikuwa ni maji yameanza kutoka katika ardhi. Haijulikani maji yale yametoka wapi, haijulikani msingi wa maji yale, lakini maji yalitoka katika ardhi, yakatengeza yakawa kama mto, yakaendelea mwisho yakawa kama bwawa la maji. Maji yale ndio kwa sasa tunayaita maji ya Zamzam, maji ambayo yamebarikiwa, ambayo ukiyanywa wewe Muislamu yatakufungulia mambo mingi katika maisha yako. Hivi ndivyo maji ya Zamzam yalivyokuja kupatikana katika historia ya Kiislamu, na kufikia leo maji hayo bado yapo na yanaendelea kuwepo pasi na mtu kufahamu maji hayo yametoka wapi. Hadithi hii inatuelezea kwamba iwapo unamtegemea Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala na unaamini kwamba Mwenyezi Mungu atakupa na atachukua kile ambacho kilicho chake, bila ya kuweza wewe kuanza kuuliza maswali, kwa nini nifanye hivi, basi Mwenyezi Mungu subhanahu wa ta'ala atakubariki na neema nyingi ambazo hutawahi kuzifikiria wala hukuwahi kuzitamani. Wa hadha, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bila shaka Uislamu ni dini ambayo ina tarehe nzito, na ni posa sisi kila mmoja wetu aweze kujua angalau baadhi ya historia ya mambo ambayo yamefanyika katika Uislamu. Mtazamaji, kwa sasa tupate mapumziko, lakini tutarejea na sehemu zaidi katika kipindi cha Ukumbi wa Kiislamu.
Sasa unaweza kupokea stesheni ya KBC Eastern Service kwa njia iliyomurwa baada ya KBC kuboresha na kuwekeza mitambo mipya ya kisasa ya kupeperusha matangazo. Pata matangazo kwa lugha ya Burji kila siku kuanzia saa 11 asubuhi hadi saa 4 asubuhi. Rendile Service itakuwa hewani kuanzia saa 4 asubuhi hadi saa 9 jioni. Kisha matangazo kupitia lugha ya Kiborana itachukua usukani kuanzia saa 9 hadi saa 2 usiku. Kutufungia jamvi ni Turukana Service watakaopeperusha matangazo yao kuanzia saa 2 usiku hadi saa 6 usiku. KBC Eastern Service inapatikana Lodwar na maeneo yaliyo karibu kupitia 98.3 FM. Na kwa wasikilizaji wa Burji, Rendile na Borana waliomo Marsabit na maeneo jirani, KBC Eastern Service inapatikana kwa mita bendi 98.7 FM.
Now, retirement can be a season of change. It can be a season of freedom or uncertainty.
I had a bit of challenge with finances. For one, I was used to my money, paying my bills, and then having to ask my spouse, oh, I need to go somewhere. Can you spare me 2K, 1K? And that was quite humbling.
I was at a place where I was saying, now I am not running after sales and marketing out here. I'm redirecting my energy elsewhere. Can we have proper conversation?
Emotionally, as you're saying, retiring as a deputy principal where you're used to people recognizing you, and I went back to the estate and you're called Mama so and so. And not madam.
Not madam. We redefine retirement and start a very active life. At the age of 70, you look back and say, all has been meaningless, chasing after the wind. What am I bequeathing myself? And that's why you said, even family, sometimes children leave, and you are left a desperate woman in the house. You don't know even what to do. You have no relationships in church or in the society or anything.
Karibu tena mtazamaji katika sehemu yetu ya pili ya kipindi cha Ukumbi wa Kiislamu, ukiwa nami Alishe. Katika sehemu ya kwanza tulikuwa naye Sheikh Mbwana ambaye alituelezea madhara ya kukosa kumtaja Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Akatuelezea kwamba wewe kama Muislamu katika maisha yako, ikiwa humtaji Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, umemsahau Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, basi bila shaka maisha yako yatakuwa ni maisha ya dhiki, utakuwa hauna raha. Na pia ametuelezea kwamba siku hizi muda mwingi watu wamesahau swala katika time zake. Watu wanaswali swala vile wanavyojisikia pasi na kukumbuka kwamba swala ina muda wake maalum, na sisi kama Waislamu tunapaswa kuifanya swala ile kwa muda wake. Kwa sasa mtazamaji, katika sehemu yetu ya pili tuweze kupata nashidi ya wiki. Baada ya kupata kiburudisho hicho mtazamaji cha nashidi ya wiki, sasa tuingie katika madrasa tuweze kusikiza Qur'an na hadithi kutoka kwa wanafunzi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ismi Sabra bint Hassan min Markaz Riyadus Salihin. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. عما يتساءلون عن النبع العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المؤسرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به هبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إنا جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا هميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا صدق الله العظيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اسمي رمضان أبدول من مركز رياض الصالحين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه ربه فأكرمه ونعمه فيقول ربي أكرمن وأما الإنسان إذا ما ابتلاه فقدر عليه رزقه فيقول ربي أهانن كلا بل لا تكرمون اليتيم ولا تحاضون على طعام المسكين وتأكلون التراث أكلا لما وتحبون المال حبا جما كلا إذا دكت الأرض دكا دكا وجاء ربك والملك صفا صفا وجيء يومئذ بجهنم يومئذ يتذكر الإنسان وأنى له الذكرى يقول يا ليتني قدمت لحياتي فيومئذ لا يعذب عذابه أحد ولا يوثق وثاقه أحد يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي.
Baada ya kupata kisomo cha Qur'an, hadithi kutoka kwa wanafunzi wa madrasa, tumombe Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala awabariki wanafunzi hawa, wazazi wao pamoja na walimu wao. Kufikia sasa, mtazamaji, ni matumaini yangu kwamba umejifunza na umeelimika kutokana na kipindi chetu wiki hii. Tupatane wiki nyingine papa hapa ndani ya KBC Channel 1. Nimekuwa Alishe, na hadi tutakapokutana tena, maasalam.
Everything you know is a fragment of a story.
We only see the outer shell of facts and happenings through a time period of change in policies, regimes, traditions, and climates. We explore the moment that shaped our present and build our identity.
Legacies, stories behind iconic figures, landmarks, folktales, and myths, linking the past to the present. Experience a journey through time in the history of our country. Know your history every Friday at 9 p.m. on KBC Channel 1.
Nice. Let's now welcome Team DGDA.
Na mtazamaji, ni furahi day kama wanavyopenda kusema kizazi cha Gen Z, ikiwa ni tarehe 24 mwezi ni Julai mwaka 2026. Natumai kwamba mzima na buheri wa afya popote pale unapotazama runinga yake KBC Channel 1. Karibu siku nyingine kwenye habari zetu za kurunzi mashinani mwendo wa saa 10 alasiri. Kasichana Masha ndio jina langu, Caroline Njoroge akiwa ndo mkalimani wetu kwa lugha ya ishara. Katika eneo la Luanda, kaunti ya Vihiga, wamemkamata mshukiwa mkuu wa ulanguzi wa mihadarati na kunasa gari lililokuwa likisafirisha dawa hizo za kulevya. Maafisa hao waliopashwa habari na umma walipata bangi na kifurushi kinachoshukiwa kuwa cha kokeni zilizokuwa zikisafirishwa kwa gari hilo. Baada ya kuhojiwa, mshukiwa aliwapeleka maafisa wa polisi hadi kwa nyumba moja mjini Luanda ambapo mihadarati zaidi ya thamani ya takriban shilingi milioni 1.5 ilinaswa. Kamanda wa polisi wa eneo hilo John Owoth alisema mshukiwa atasalia korokoroni hadi atakapofikishwa mahakamani pindi uchunguzi utakapokamilika.
So that we also assist them as they assist us to bring those who are involved in this business to book.
Maafisa wa polisi katika kaunti hiyo ya Vihiga wameanzisha msako wa magenge ya wahalifu kufuatia shambulizi lililoacha watu 8 wa familia moja na majeraha katika kijiji cha Surumbi. Maafisa husika wanasema shughuli ya kuwasaka wahusika wanaohusishwa na kisa hicho zimeanzishwa huku juhudi za kurejesha usalama zikiboreshwa. Kamanda wa polisi wa kaunti ndogo ya Mbale, Ben Barasa, anasema mshukiwa mmoja aliuawa na umati uliokuwa na ghadhabu wakati wa shambulizi hilo, huku wengine 2 wakitoroka. Polisi wameanzisha uchunguzi huku wakionya kuwa yeyote aliyehusika na shughuli za uhalifu atakabiliwa kisheria. Vilevile aliwasihi wakazi kushirikiana na idara za usalama na kutoa ripoti kuhusu washukiwa wa uhalifu.
Juzi tarehe 19 kama saa 2 usiku, wananchi wapendwa, wananchi wale tumetangaza vita kwa majambazi, wakatupigia simu. Kuna jambazi 3 wameingia poma ya mtu hiyo ya Lukaka Usainia. Polisi wakiwa patrol wakarespond, wakakimbia kwa hiyo poma, wakakuta raia wanapikana na hawa jambazi. Ni pongezi kwa wananchi, uhusiano yao na sisi polisi kwa jumla.
Tuangazie masuala ya afya ambapo wadau katika sekta hiyo ya uzazi ulimwenguni wameimarisha jitihada za kukomesha vifo vya kina mama vinavyoweza kuepukika katika eneo la Afrika Kusini mwa jangwa la Sahara kupitia utafiti, uvumbuzi na ushirikiano. Akizungumza wakati wa ufunguzi wa mkutano wa kimataifa kuhusu uvujaji damu baada ya kujifungua katika kituo cha Confucius kilichoko katika chuo kikuu cha Nairobi, afisa mkuu wa wakfu wa postpartum hemorrhage Profesa Moses Obimbo alisema kuwa mkutano huo unalenga kuhakikisha uvumbuzi mpya wa afya uzazi duniani umewasilishwa kwa wataalamu wa afya ili utumike ipasavyo. Joshua Joel alihudhuria kongamano hilo na kutandalia taarifa hii.
Kongamano hilo liliwaleta pamoja wavumbuzi, watafiti, watunga sera za afya, wanafunzi na washirika wa maendeleo kutoka kote duniani ili kupata suluhu za matukio ya vifo vya kina mama ambavyo kwa sasa vinafikia 60,000 kila mwaka.
About 60,000 women die every year because of excessive bleeding, and it's upon us as Africans to be able to get the right solution for our mothers.
Makamu wa rais wa chama cha wakunga nchini Kenya, Daktari Eunice Afsali, alionya dhidi ya hatari za kufuata mila na utamaduni duni unaohatarisha maisha ya wanawake hasa wakati wa kujifungua.
So because it's a woman issue, then there is slowness. And remember, in African context we have women who require the man to be able even to give transport to the facility.
Washiriki walitoa wito wa kuwepo kwa wajibikaji wa pamoja katika kuhakikisha uzazi salama kwa wanawake kote nchini.
Top to bottom and even laterally to do cross-sectional and intersectorial
partnerships with those in agriculture, with those in education, because it's a community.
Washiriki walihimizwa kuhakikisha taarifa hizi na miongozo hii inafikia viwango vya jamii.
In this conference, there are many participants. There are those who are in academia, there are those who are in clinical, but there are also those who are partners who fund programs, and more so in those counties which are termed as remote, arid, semi-arid lands of this country.
Na bila shaka kuna mwanamke anapaswa kufariki baada ya kujifungua, mtazamaji. Hivyo basi tukisonga mbele ni kwamba baraza la wazee wa jamii ya Waluo limepongeza serikali kwa kuchukua jukumu la ujenzi wa mnara wa ukumbusho wa hayati Raila Odinga, likisema hatua hiyo itahifadhi urathi wa kiongozi huyo aliyewahi kuhudumu kama waziri mkuu. Mwenyekiti wa baraza hilo, Ker Odungi Randa, amefichua kwa mipango inaendelea kuadhimisha mwaka wa kwanza tangu kifo cha Raila katika eneo la Kang'o, Kajaramogi mnamo mwezi Oktoba. Ker Odungi Randa pia ametoa wito kwa viongozi kutoka eneo la Nyanza kujitahidi kwa dhati kuunganisha eneo hilo kabla na baada ya uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka 2027.
We wish to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya once again, His Excellency William Samoei Arap Ruto, for his efforts to have a permanent international mark of our fallen hero Raila Amolo Odinga.
We want the Luo community to be behind Ruto at this time, at the moment. Come 2032, we are going to have a political, not a political, a presidential candidate from Luo community.
Kwingineko, idara ya upelelezi wa jinai imepata idhini ya kumzuilia mshukiwa wa wizi wa mabavu huku uchunguzi ukiendelea. Hakimu wa mahakama ya Limuru Brenda Ofisi aliridhia ombi hilo baada ya mshukiwa huyo ambaye ni afisa wa polisi kushtakiwa kwa kumuibia Muhudin Abdullahi shilingi milioni 60. Mahakama ilifahamishwa kwamba mshukiwa Alfred Wanyonyi ambaye anahudumu kwenye kitengo cha kukabiliana na mihadarati katika makao makuu ya idara ya upelelezi wa jinai alishirikiana na washukiwa wengine ambao hawakuwa mahakamani kumuibia Abdullahi pesa hizo.
Armed with AK-47 rifle and 2 pistols, and in the process they were robbed the cash, Nokia, a mobile phone Nokia X2 valued at Kenya shilling 30,000, an iPhone mobile phone valued at Kenya shilling 5,000, and later they were dumped within the area.
This court will not issue piecemeal orders. The respondent is to be remanded in custody at Larry Police Station until 27th July 2026, when the court will issue further directions on the detention orders. The applicant is at liberty to proceed with the investigations. Production order to issue for the 27th of July 2026.
Na huku Kenya inapojiandaa kwa mpito wa wanafunzi wa kwanza wa mfumo wa elimu ya umilisi CBE kwenda vyuo vikuu mwaka 2029, wadau wa elimu wanaongeza juhudi za kuwapa walimu, wanafunzi na wazazi maarifa na ujuzi unaohitajika ili kufanikisha mfumo huo mpya. Kituo cha elimu ya umilisi cha Gravity kwa ushirikiano na Chuo Kikuu cha Kenya Methodist kimezindua rasmi kituo cha mfumo wa elimu ya umilisi huko Meru. Mkurugenzi wa kituo hicho Duncan Mwebia Ntwarithi alisema kuwa mpango huo unakusudia kuwapa walimu, wanafunzi na hata wazazi na wadau mafunzo na mwongozo halisi unaohitajika ili kutekeleza mfumo huo kwa ufanisi. Naibu Chancellor wa Chuo Kikuu cha Kenya Methodist Profesa Kobia Ataya alitaja kituo hicho kama uwekezaji unaofaa katika sekta ya elimu humu nchini.
We are really excited today because it's a vision we had
to see how we could reach out to schools outside Nairobi without necessarily schools traveling all the way to Nairobi to come and have an experience at our center, because it's very, very transformative visiting our center in Nairobi. And today that dream has come true. We have been able to see, as you see around, to have a center that is mobile, that is ready to roll and move from county to county.
We've gone through the training and we are preparing. Tunajiandaa vile tutaweza train the other trainers in the university. Actually, tukiangalia in our programs, tumeenda zaidi.
Na wakazi wa eneo la Kimalal katika kaunti ndogo ya Sigowet Soin, kaunti ya Kericho, wanataka haki itendeke kufuatia mauaji tata ya mwanamume mwenye umri wa miaka 28 Jumapili iliyopita. Familia ya Hilary Kipkemboi imewarai maafisa husika kuwatia nguvuni waliotekeleza mauaji hayo. Inadaiwa Kipkemboi alikodisha chumba cha kulala katika kituo cha biashara cha Sigowet baada ya kutazama fainali za kombe la dunia. Taarifa ambazo hazijathibitishwa zinasema watu wasiojulikana waliingia chumbani humo na kumvamia na kumuua.
Kijana wetu aliuawa kama nyoka. Asubuhi tulipata ripoti, tukaambiwa ako hospitali, tukafika alikuwa mochari, alikuwa amekufa. Au wenye wanafanya hiyo wakaandika ripoti ya kwamba yeye ni mwizi, aliipa pesa. Na mtoto wetu sio mwizi.
Hiyo kijana vile alipatikana tu ndani ya nyumba ndio alianzwa tu kuchapwa tu namna hiyo tu. Akasema mwizi wamepatikana. So akachapwa kabisa mpaka akawawa namna hiyo tu.
We have this young man who was killed in Sigowet. I am requesting the security team to be more vigilant, the girl to take charge of that until the family gets the required support that they get.
Na wahudumu wa afya ya jamii watakuwa wakikusanya pamoja na kuwasilisha data ya afya kwa wakati unaofaa kupitia mfumo mpya wa kielektroniki kuhusu habari za afya ya jamii uliozinduliwa. Mfumo huu ambao ni watatu unalenga kuimarisha huduma ya afya kimsingi, ufuatiliaji wa magonjwa pamoja na utoaji wa huduma ya afya kwa wote kupitia Taifa Care.
The quality of data that is collected by our CHPs is very, very good because it will help us with planning. In terms of budgetary allocation, we are going to be able to know in different units, small units, and also be able to detect where we have not budgeted enough. There are areas probably we have not been giving them enough budgets, and with quality data, we will be able to plan ahead of time in terms of commodities, in terms of equipment that are required in a specific area, say Mombasa or Meru. If we see there's a lot of diabetes in that area, then we are able to give the required support.
We need to go to the third version, which is more smart, more detailed, and more powered through new technologies like artificial intelligence as well as big data, so that we make the user, who is the CHP himself, to be easier for him to collect this information and be an enabler to the whole of the health ecosystem.
Takriban maafisa 390 wa serikali za kaunti watapokea mafunzo maalum ya mfumo wa taarifa za kijiografia GIS katika hatua inayolenga kubadilisha usimamizi wa ardhi kuwa wa kidijitali kote nchini. Wakizungumza wakati wa uzinduzi wa mafunzo hayo katika kaunti ya Kajiado, wadau walisema kuanzishwa kwa maabara ya GIS katika kaunti ni hatua muhimu katika kufanikisha mchakato wa kuhamia kwenye mfumo wa usimamizi ardhi kidijitali. Mpango huo unaofadhiliwa na Muungano wa Ulaya pamoja na Shirika la Chakula na Kilimo kushirikiana na serikali ya Kenya unatekelezwa chini ya baraza la magavana.
GIS capacity supported parcel referencing, linking the issuance of leases and lease titles to more than 36,800 landowners.
The knowledge you acquire during this training will influence how counties plan towns, protect community land, manage infrastructure, conserve natural resources, and deliver better service to citizens. I encourage every participant to fully engage with the training, exchange experiences with colleagues from other counties, and build professional networks that will continue long after this program comes to an end.
Katika makala kuhusu Ifahamu China, kurunzi yetu inaangazia kazi ya uchimbaji kwa kutumia mashine maalum katika sehemu kuu ya handaki refu zaidi duniani la barabara iliyo chini ya bahari. Handaki ya pili ya chini ya bahari ya Zhuangzhou ilikamilika Jumanne katika mji wa Guangdao, mkoa wa Shandong, mashariki mwa China. Hebu tazama. Naam, serikali za kaunti na ile ya kitaifa zimehimizwa kupigia upatu uzalishaji na matumizi ya maji safi ya kunywa vijijini ili kukabiliana na magonjwa yanayotokana na maji chafu. Akizungumza katika eneo la Kiumbi katika kaunti ya Machakos, mwenyekiti wa kitaifa wa shirika la maendeleo ya wanawake Rahab Mulu alisema kuwa magonjwa yanayotokana na maji chafu yanaweza kuepukika ikiwa wananchi wataelimishwa kuchemsha maji ya kunywa au kutumia njia mbadala na salama za kuyasafisha. Mulu pia aliwataka viongozi wanawake waliochaguliwa kujiunga na kampeni hiyo ya kuhamasisha jamii.
$55 million of us tunahitaji hii can. That is what I would say. County government, families, government, serikali yenyewe washikane na sisi, we give people clean water. Wanjumbe na our women, we have very many women legislators. Can we advocate about clean water? We always said you educate a woman, you educate a village. Tushikane zote, tupatie families clean water.
Muradi utasaidia wamama sana katika kusafisha maji. Magonjwa sasa yatatuondokea na watoto wetu watakuwa wakiwa na afya, na hata wale wamama wazee ambao wanasumbuka sana wakati wametumia maji chafu wataweza kuenjoy maji safi.
Na kwenye taarifa yetu ya awali ya Ifahamu China ni kwamba katika makala hiyo kurunzi yetu inaangazia kazi ya uchimbaji kwa kutumia mashine maalum katika sehemu kuu ya handaki refu zaidi duniani ya barabara iliyo chini ya bahari. Handaki ya pili ya chini ya bahari ya Zhuangzhou ilikamilika Jumanne katika mji wa Guangdao, mkoa wa Shandong, mashariki mwa China. Hebu tazama.
Sehemu ya handaki iliyochimbwa kwa kutumia teknolojia ya shield tunneling upande wa kaskazini ina urefu wa mita 3258. Timu ya ujenzi ilitumia mashine kubwa ya kusawazisha shinikizo la tope yenye kipenyo cha mita 15.63 kufanya kazi hiyo. Wahandisi walifanikiwa kukabiliana na changamoto mbalimbali ikiwemo shinikizo kubwa la maji chini ya bahari na kuvuka maeneo yenye nyufa za kijiolojia kwa kutumia mbinu mbalimbali za ubunifu.
Mashine yetu ya kuchimba handaki imetumia kwa mara ya kwanza teknolojia mpya ya kuondoa mabaki ya uchimbaji pamoja na mfumo wa kiotomatiki wa kufuatilia mabaki hayo na tope pamoja na mfumo wa uchambuzi wa wakati halisi wa shughuli za uchimbaji. Hii inatuwezesha kurekebisha vigezo vya uchimbaji papo hapo, kutatua matatizo kama kuziba kwa mabaki ya uchimbaji na uchakavu wa visu vya kukata miamba na kuhakikisha handaki linajengwa bila kuvuja maji.
Handaki hilo lina urefu wa kilomita 17.48 huku sehemu ya kilomita 9.95 ikipita chini ya bahari. Limeundwa kuruhusu magari kusafiri kwa kasi ya hadi kilomita 80 kwa saa na linatarajiwa kurahisisha usafiri katika eneo hilo. Hadi sasa zaidi ya 70% ya mradi huo imekamilika na unatarajiwa kukamilishwa mwaka 2028. Baada ya kukamilika, handaki hilo litaimarisha zaidi miundombinu ya usafiri kati ya eneo la mjini la Qingdao na wilaya ya Huangdao pamoja na kuboresha mpangilio na maendeleo ya mji huo.
Na mtazamaji, baada ya kukupeperushia AFCON kwa takriban wiki 3 ama mwezi mmoja, kumbuka kwamba AFCON sasa hivi itakuwa moja kwa moja hapa KBC. Vile vile tutakupeperushia na vidosho wetu wa Harambee Starlets watakuwa wanatuwakilisha. Hivyo basi kumbuka kwamba KBC ndo nyumbani kwa michezo yote na AFCON iko KBC. Lakini acha nikuache na mrembo wetu katika Club 1 Extra. Natumai ushavaa njuga zako na uko tayari kubanjuka. Kasichana Masha ndio jina langu. Caroline Njoroge nimekuwa naye kwenye upande wa lugha ishara na kutakia jioni njema. Kwaheri.
Life changes, and so can your insurance. In the event you are unable to pay your life insurance premiums for some reason, and you have paid your premiums for at least 3 years, don't worry. Your premiums haven't gone to waste. Your policy may remain in force under paid-up value, giving you reduced but valuable cover with no extra premium payments. It is recommended that you do not cancel your policy before maturity to receive the full benefits of your policy. Talk to your insurance company in the event you have challenges paying your insurance premium. Read and understand the terms and conditions of your policy. This message is brought to you by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, IRA. IRA. Bima bora kwa taifa.
Now, retirement can be a season of change. It can be a season of freedom or uncertainty.
I had a bit of challenge with finances. For one, I was used to my money, paying my bills, and then having to ask my spouse, oh, I need to go somewhere. Can you spare me 2K, 1K? And that was quite humbling.
Yeah. I was at a place where I was saying, now I am not running after sales and marketing out here. I'm redirecting my energy elsewhere. Can we have proper conversation?
Emotionally, as you're saying, retiring as a deputy principal where you're used to people recognizing you, and I went back to the estate and you're called Mama so and so. And not madam.
Not madam. If we redefine retirement and start very active life, at the age of 70 you look back and say, all has been meaningless, chasing after the wind. What am I bequeathing myself? And that's why you said, even family, sometimes children leave and you are left a desperate woman in the house. You don't know even what to do. You have no relationships in church or in the society or anything.
it. DJ pull up the vibe, getting fun.
Feeling my flow. A girl from Woodley Vine, ready to go on, yeah.
See, me all like to party.
Hello, hello, nimekuja na tangazo. Hapo tu. Bra, staki kusikia. Hii ni moto.
This is how we do it, yeah. And yeah, we do it like that.
Zaki moto.
Do.
This party is Zaki moto. Chayota mapema. Ukuvisha pete chana chema. Uwewa kwangu tu. Wakitusema kitunanga jua binadamu wanachema. Wasikuzimbue kanitema. Wewa puuze tu. Unarazi menizidi mpaka napagawa. Kiwa mbali na mimi akili haiko sawa. Homa yangu mimi na garagara tu. Unarazi menizidi mpaka napagawa. Kiwa mbali na mimi akili haiko sawa. Homa yangu mimi na garagara tu. Pressure in the banda, mapenzi pressure inashuka, na pressure in the banda. Siwezi sema kama sijawahi kupenda, tamu unaonipa mpaka natoka malenda. Nimeshakuwa ndondo, nimepagawa. Umeshanipa block, sina tapa kwenda.